What's a vision if you ain't turning that vision to reality? All you haters can stay mad at me. From a kid to a man, from a man to a star. Bike to a minivan to a supercar. Lights, let me see those hands, show me who you are. Dice, watch him land, go and cop a new car. High stakes, heavyweight shit, came up from the bottom. Only flex flows if you got him. Problems came and forgot him. I'm on that stress-free shit. If I believe, then I can be it. And I aim to be a star. It don't matter who you are or where you come from. Had them wanting more after one song. Every morning I wake up and I'm on some. Put the beat on repeat and get the rhymes done. Started out fun, now it's my life. Married to the game, made rapping my wife. To have and to hold, through sickness and death. At least I'm at the point I can write my own checks. Hit the Royal Rumble, now I'm last man standing. Hard to stay humble when the punches keep landing. 1, 2, uppercut, hook. Learn from the best, can't do it by the book. I was born with the flow, guess it's in my genes. Material raw, but my rhymes stay clean. I don't sip lean, but I smoke a little green. Win some, lose some, stay true to the dream. From a kid to a man, from a man to a star. Bike to a minivan to a supercar. Lights, let me see those hands, show me who you are. Dice, watch him land, go and cop a new car. High stakes, heavyweight shit, came up from the bottom. Only flex flows if you got him. Problems came and forgot him. I'm on that stress-free shit. If I believe, then I can be it.
Yeah, I took my time and it paid off well. Rose back up when I fell. Yeah, got defeated, made me stronger. Cause I need it, I can't wait longer.
Yeah, time is up, clock's been ticking, it's crunch time. Walking the tightrope, but it's a long line. Gotta keep my balance, takes more than talent. If you drink by the liter, gotta sell by the gallon. From a kid to a man, from a man to a star. Bike to a minivan to a supercar. Lights, let me see those hands, show me who you are. Dice, watch him land, go and cop a new car. High stakes, heavyweight shit, came up from the bottom. Only flex flows if you got him. Problems came and forgot him. I'm on that stress-free shit. If I believe, then I can be it.
You've been holding on for the morning, holding on for something to change. It's been a long year, been a lot of tears. Thought you might break, but you're stronger, stronger than you think. The sun shines always brightest after the rain, and the sweetest kind of triumph comes after all the pain. So keep on holding on, there will be a better day. 'Cause the sun shines always brightest I can see your face, my darling, and I don't wanna move. 'Cause you make me feel like I'm someone you will hold on for a long time. And I never, never, never wanna let you go. To your mind, you take me home, where I belong. It's been a long time coming, but now I'm home. I'm safe inside your harbor when the storm rages on, and I can jump into the waters with you. I'm calm, 'cause you make me feel like I'm someone you will hold on for a long time. And I never, never, never wanna let you go. To your mind, you take me home, where I belong. It's been a long time coming, but now I'm you take me home, where I belong. It's been a long time coming, but now I'm home. Take your time, now you're moving too fast. Don't you know you need these moments to last? It's been so hard just trying to get through the hour. Oh, digging deep, trying to find the power. But now, it's gonna be a good day. Now that the storms have come and gone, we found a new way to break through the light. It's gonna be alright. Oh, we're moving on. Peace of mind and a world is full of possibilities. It's not always easy, but you've got the fight. You've got the fight. Sometimes you don't know your strength until you fall down, till you're on the ground. And when the pressure is building all around you, that's when you show them how. You can be stronger, stronger than you think you are. I wanna hear you roar. You can be bolder, reach up and just grab the stars. Yeah, it's all yours. So keep on turning towards the light. It'll keep you warm in the darkest night. You've got all you need to win the fight. You'll win the fight. Sometimes you don't know your strength until you fall down, till you're on the ground. And when the pressure is building all around you, that's when you show them how. You can be stronger, stronger than you think you are. I wanna hear you roar. You can be bolder, reach up and just grab the stars. Yeah, it's all yours. Yeah, it's all yours. Can you feel it burning, burning inside you? Can you feel it coming? You can be stronger, stronger than you think you are. I wanna hear you roar. You can be bolder, reach up and just grab the stars. Yeah, it's all yours.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another day of the KDL. I'm State. Joined with me is Peter, and it's a Wednesday, which means we have 3 team matches lined up for you. Should be 3 exciting ones. Some top teams, some low teams, and as of late, it seems like these rookies are starting to give the pro teams a run for their money.
Absolutely. Whenever we see these rookie teams come on, it feels like we're always going to that ace match, which is super exciting, and we love it. And as you mentioned, State, when it's a Wednesday of KDL, it's a really nice day because you get team matches, which we all love, but you get 3 of it, like a triple layered ice cream.
I like that, a triple layered ice cream. Yeah, usually we just get the 2.
Yeah.
And then we get this little fruit thing, little fruit bowl on the side, the solo matches. But this time we got 3 layers of ice cream as we look here at an overview of the team match. Right now we are in the regular season of the preseason, so to speak, getting ready to gear up for that postseason. Of course, the top 4 teams in the round robin will advance to the postseason. Bottom 4 teams are out. All these teams competing for an up to 40 million Korean won first place prize that is just shy of 40,000 US dollars. And we're talking about before the show, most of these teams now, they've played 4 series, so we're more than halfway through the regular part of this preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. As we take a look at the standings, there is a bit of a change because we did overturn the decision of the matchup between Guangdong Freaks and ShowTime. Now, ShowTime, they do get their win, so Guangdong Freaks now is going to be 4-1.
Yeah, admins yesterday deciding to reverse that decision. So Seongnam ROX now the only undefeated team in the league. They're going to look to try and defend that title as they want to pave their way to be the first seed heading into the postseason. And ROX, I mean, so far this season are looking so good. KDL Preseason 1, a lot of that success came on the back of Jung competing in their, in the ace matches every single week, but now they're just rock solid. We'll see them in the 3rd match today as we look at today's matchup. ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX to start things off, and then Potential versus Sensation, and then, of course, Seraphic versus Seongnam ROX.
Yeah, we got a lot of exciting matchups today. And first of all, going in the match between ShowTime and Liiv SANDBOX, we were talking about this one before broadcast day, and we pretty much ruled out that an ace match might not happen here because Liiv SANDBOX, they're on pretty good form right now, despite losing. It was to Guangdong Freaks after all, which is one of our strongest teams here.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX were given their first defeat there to the KDF, and I think that as far as these matches go, ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX is probably the one that's not going to go to an ace match if any of them are going to avoid it. Liiv SANDBOX seems to be in very good form right now. I know they want to rebound after having that loss to the Freaks, but we'll see. Maybe ShowTime can surprise us again and come through with another big result against a pro team.
Yeah, meanwhile, Potential versus Sensation, this one's really exciting because Potential, they played 4 matches total so far, and they're looking to do another ace match today because they have 4 out of 4 ace matches.
All right, well, let's introduce the teams for the first match of the day. First onto the stage will be ShowTime, looking to start a miracle comeback to pave their way to the postseason. As of yet, seems like it is a long ways away, but a victory here over Liiv SANDBOX could get some potential going.
Yeah, speaking of miracles, they did have a miracle run through Ghost, especially a player that's been highlighted a lot for ShowTime because he's been able to pull off a lot of clutch comebacks, such as winning the ace match against World. Now, if ShowTime can win in speed match today against Liiv SANDBOX, that would be the kickstart they need.
Oh, that would be incredible if they could beat Liiv SANDBOX here in speed mode because LSB, even though they have retooled, re-kitted coming into KDL Preseason 2 after losing a number of players to military service, they're looking as strong as ever. Currently 3rd overall in the standings. After today, very well might be 2nd because they are looking so powerful. Neil, Jimin, Byungsu, Hyunsu, and Dalda. Of course, Byungsu coming over, formerly known as Speed, now the Speed Ace of Liiv SANDBOX, a key part of their success in Team Speed mode. And although item mode hasn't exactly been their forte so far, and also the forte for a lot of pro teams here as the meta has shifted in KDL Preseason 2, they're still looking solid, and it feels like every single week they are getting better.
Absolutely, especially in speed. Recently, they did get tested by Aura, going all the way to 3-2, and then actually lost to Guangdong Freaks 1-3, but looking very solid with 3-0s all around.
ShowTime. Will ShowTime in need of a speed match power boost show a rebellion of the underdogs? Would love to see it. As overall in speed match, I mean, it just hasn't really been coming together here for ShowTime. You can see there at the bottom, the speed average rank. Now, I think we have something like 34, 35 racers in total that have competed in team speed mode so far this season. So having 3 of your players around like 33rd, 30th or so, 25th or so. Not the best in the standings. ShowTime that will beat the Item Master Aura, that beat Seraphic, that beat the Kwangdong Freaks, that beat Aura.
That's a really long sentence.
It's just, I think we've seen this like earlier in the season. It was already a mouthful then, and it just keeps getting better, man. Reminds me of back in the day of like other tournaments and other leagues. You would always be like, okay, well this team was the world champion, but then this team beat them, so now they're the unofficial world champion. But then they lost to this team, and then they lost to this team. So really, who's the champion now? And I get the kind of the same vibe with ShowTime.
Yeah.
Just coming through like, yeah, we can be the best here in item mode if we beat Liiv SANDBOX.
It's basically a really complicated food chain, but now for Liiv SANDBOX, as you can see, the ranks here look a lot better overall, and this is the team that has the highest rate of defenses.
Yeah, their blocks overall in item mode have been, quite high, almost 40%, which ranks them in first place in total. And in a more aggressive meta here in item mode, that does prove to be something that can be a tool, a skill that they can leverage coming into item mode here. And as we were just saying, man, it feels like time really is flying here. More than halfway through KDL Preseason 2, already the 6th match for Liiv SANDBOX. So after this, they only have one left this preseason until the postseason.
Yeah, postseason is definitely coming to an end. We have about 10 days left before we actually get into that schedule where only 4 teams will be able to play now, and it's Liiv SANDBOX looking to win today so that they can secure themselves that spot even further.
I feel like they all but assuredly will be going there regardless of the result today, but would love to come in as high a seed as possible here as we look at the speed track list. Liiv SANDBOX here with speed track priority, picking map number 1 on Glacier Extreme Stadium. Map number 2 will be Singapore Circuit, followed by Winding Slopes, World Tour New York Rally, and Village Boom Hill Tunnel will be track number 5, should we go to a track number 5. And Extreme Stadium, I love to see it. One of my favorite tracks overall here in the KDL, especially with those hairpin turns right before the finish line. And, a lot of the WKC circuits as well have been so exciting to watch. I mean, I love all these new tracks that we're getting here, not only, in the main client, but also here in the pro stage.
Yeah, interestingly enough, not much of the WKC tracks have been banned at all here, and I did like the bans from ShowTime there, banning out a track such as Zigzag Timberland, which Liiv SANDBOX is really proficient at. But this first track is picked by Liiv SANDBOX themselves. Let's see which team can take the win in Glacier Extreme Stadium.
And here we go, first track of the day, ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX on Glacier Extreme Stadium. Monster and Ghost for ShowTime already off to a great start, but look at this, Peter. Neil hot on their tail with Hyunsu right behind him.
Neil has constantly been trying to stay between Ghost and Monster, and that has worked out fantastically. Now 3 members of Liiv SANDBOX blocking out that 1-2 combo. Now Ghost, he desperately needs some support.
Yeah, Ghost right there all alone in first place. FaZe, the closest player behind him, sitting right now at 4th place. And might even fall back behind that with Neil, Byungsu, and Hyunsu all literally right on his tail. I mean, it's a 3v1 right here for that position coming into the hairpin turns.
This is a common problem that we see when you have 2 members of your team stuck in 7-8. It doesn't really matter even if you can hold the first place. So what Ghost needs to do right now is potentially do some sweeping along with Monster, buy some time for Flare and FaZe to catch up.
Yeah, basically the only win condition for ShowTime if they hold on to that 7th and 8th spot is going to be a 1-2 finish, and that does not seem to be in the cards right now, with Jimin actually taking the lead here for Liiv SANDBOX in 2nd place. Byungsu right behind him. Liiv SANDBOX comfortably sitting in 2-3-4 with also Neil right behind them in 7th place. And now Byungsu actually passing Ghost here and taking first place for the first time this track.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX now holding on to that 1-2 pretty firmly, and this is the 2nd lap. ShowTime still sitting at 7 and 8. This is not looking good. Ghost needs to at least tear apart Jimin and Byungsu.
Yeah, right now Liiv SANDBOX is just absolutely dominating this. Even Neil right here creating some problems in the back ranks as we come back into the hairpin turns. Only maybe 750 meters to that finish line. And there's a 3v1 here with Byungsu, Jimin, and Hyunsu. All just fighting up here against Ghost. I mean, every single Liiv SANDBOX player is in the top 5, and yet Ghost is just like, no, there's not a chance. We're out of this one. Throws in the towel, goes into the icy water here on Glacier Extreme Stadium, and it's a clean victory for Liiv SANDBOX to start things out on track number 1. Some truly fantastic racing.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX right there just saying, This is why we first picked Glacier Extreme Stadium, because we as a whole team is proficient in this track, completely dominated ShowTime there. And once again, the main problem really was that Ghost, he was doing a phenomenal job, but he just didn't have that support.
Yeah, Ghost, in my opinion, at least so far this season, by far the best speed racer here on ShowTime, was doing a great job of holding on to position number 1 against a plethora of Liiv SANDBOX players all the way through the first lap, but you can only do that for so long in a 2v1, 3v1 situation. Eventually, Liiv SANDBOX got the better of him. We're able to take track number 1 with ease here in speed mode.
Yeah, you have to keep in mind that Liiv SANDBOX, they do have a complete 3-0 record in speed right now against amateur teams, and they're really looking to make that happen again here against ShowTime. And if you're ShowTime, you really want to try to win this because you don't want to rely on that item mode. But the second round is picked by ShowTime themselves, and the track is WKC Singapore Circuit. Begin the race with Liiv SANDBOX in the lead. Monster looking to try to keep up a lead in the top 4 spot.
Yeah, Monster and ShowTime would love to step up here on WK's Singapore Circuit and get on the board against Liiv SANDBOX, who looks so good right now in team speed mode. It seems like only the freaks really stand a chance to go up against them. And with Hyunsu and Byungsu right now holding on to that top 2 spot, it's a nice start here for Liiv SANDBOX on Singapore Circuit.
Yeah, Ghost is really trying to do all he can. He does have phase for support this time, but once again, Player Monster stuck in 7A, 1-2 for Liiv SANDBOX. This is not what you want as ShowTime. Ghost, he needs to try to at least take that first place away. Yeah,
and it's a similar story here as Ghost with that inner line, able to hold first place, at least for a moment there before Neil comes in on the outer. And now it's a 3v2 here with 3 Liiv SANDBOX players fighting these 2 for ShowTime, as Flare and Monster desperately need to close the distance and lend some support. You can see them now on the heels of Jimin, trying to do a little bit of sweeping and give their runners some room to work with, but as of yet, Liiv SANDBOX still in control.
Neil is running away with that first place right now, as you said. 1-3-4, absolute control for Liiv SANDBOX here in the top field. You can see the 4 players all just synchronizing, going for the runner roll, sweeper roll as it's needed. The flexibility is really shining right now.
Yeah, and after some tough collisions, some nice sweeping here by Liiv SANDBOX. 3 ShowTime players falling to the bottom ranks. In fact, all of them now from 5th through 8th just getting dominated here by LSB, showing some fantastic teamwork. And I mean, look at Byungsu right now. The speed ace with some fantastic sweeping here, causing so many problems. And really, this is all he has to do. He doesn't care about finishing 4th or 5th or whatever position like that. He just wants to cause problems. And you see, with these fantastic body blocks on Monster trying to slide his way in, ShowTime, it just seems like they have no tricks up their sleeves left. It's a clean 3-0 here for Liiv SANDBOX unless ShowTime can make some kind of Hail Mary play.
Yeah, you can see Flare trying to take the inner lines to close the gap, but there's no chance because Jimin, Hyunsu, and Neil, when you have 3 players up ahead of you, you can't find that line to pass through. And Liiv SANDBOX coming in with a clean sweep there, leading now 2-0.
Yeah, that was about as clean as it gets here on track number 2, Singapore Circuit. As Liiv SANDBOX for a moment there on lap number 2, about halfway through, they had all 4 players in the top 4 spots. And Byungsu, even though he's the speed ace, is like, no guys, like I'm already here in the back rank. I'm in position 4. I'm just going to sweep to my heart's content, cause as many problems for ShowTime as I possibly can. And I mean, you could really see it paying off as, yeah, Byungsu finishes 8th, but nobody on ShowTime really had any chance of closing distance on the top 3 players there for Liiv SANDBOX, as they truly, flex their muscles here and truly show why they are one of the best team speed teams in the world in kart rider drift.
Yeah, and also showing why they have such a great success rate in defense, not only in item, but also in speed. You saw how, as you mentioned, a speed ace like Byungsu, who's supposed to be running for the top positions, he filled in that sweeping role so well, basically doing a 1v4.
Yeah, this is often something that we see these pro teams do, is just get another replay here of Byungsu with some beautiful sweeping. Look at just all these little tiny collisions causing, just micro damage here, just like chip damage. We're playing like a fighting game here on ShowTime, wearing them down bit after bit. And that's one of the things that these pro teams do so well, is they can almost play positionless kart rider on every single track. Any racer can do what they need to do to help their team succeed, as we're going to move on to Mind-Winding Slopes from track number 3. Liiv SANDBOX looking for a 3-0 sweep in speed mode. And here we go on potentially the last track of speed mode here between Liiv SANDBOX and ShowTime, unless ShowTime's able to make a play happen.
Yeah, Flair took a big collision there right at the start. Not a fantastic start, because now there's a lot of pressure on FaZe to make sure that he can at least try to catch up with Ghost and Monster holding that 2-3.
Yeah, but FaZe and Flair back in the 7th and 8th
Oh
position.
my.
This seems to be just the running theme here for ShowTime, as they have a couple players fall into the back ranks, and they aren't able to lend the support that their front runners lead. And
yeah,
you know, Ghost, he's fighting valiantly right now, actually able to hold on to the first-rank position despite 4 Liiv SANDBOX players behind him. And now Neil is going to be the one to take a page out of Byung-Soo's book. I mean, he is basically a speed ace in his own right, but he's just sweeping as much as he can to not let these players in the back ranks for ShowTime close the distance. And as it is right now, Liiv SANDBOX in good control despite Ghost being in first place. We had a bit of a collision there. I'm not actually sure who caught the ledge, but Liiv SANDBOX looking really good here, Peter.
Yeah, if you take a look at the minimap, Flair was quite set behind right now. He did manage to close that distance a bit, but not enough. Neil actually making a pretty big mistake there is going to give some breathing space to now Flair and Monster. But it's Ghost who is now fallen behind to 3rd place. It's 1-2 here for Liiv SANDBOX if they can keep it up.
Yeah, and here on the straightaway. Oh, Ghost is able to disrupt it for a moment, though, and actually with a 2-3-4. Oh, some unfortunate collisions there. Some bounces off the wall for Liiv SANDBOX, and ShowTime surprising us for sure there to come through with a 2-3-4 finish. As you can see them laughing a little bit about that on stage. A wild one to close out track number 3 as ShowTime gets on the board with a win. As I thought, just like you, that Liiv SANDBOX undoubtedly had the 1-2 finish there in the bag with the, the straightaway jump, but ShowTime just able to come through in the clutch of the final moments to capitalize on Liiv SANDBOX's mistake, and we're going to go to a track 4.
It started off with a collision from Neil. It set him back all the way to 8th place, and then Jimin was the only one who was able to successfully jump off that ledge there and finish first, because right before that, it was Liiv SANDBOX with a pretty safe-looking 1-2, right? But
yeah,
Ghost was able to come in and deny that, and then his teammates were also able to catch up and ultimately win through a 2-3-4.
Yeah, ShowTime showing some life here with a victory on Liiv SANDBOX's map pick, if I'm not mistaken, here for track number 3. We're going to move on to New York Rally in just a moment. ShowTime would love to pick up a speed mode victory here against one of the top speed teams in the KDL. Would be a big confidence booster to them in a season that so far has not truly gone their way. As we get ready to move on to track number 4, ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX. Liiv SANDBOX still only needing 1 track win to win speed mode. Let's go to World Tour New York Rally.
Off we go into speed round number 4. This is match point for Liiv SANDBOX here. ShowTime looking to take us to a round 5.
ShowTime would love to do that now, as Neil off to a better start than the previous track for sure here, as him, Byung-Soo, and Hyunsoo in a commanding 1-2-3 spot. Now keep in mind, this is a 1-lapper, and it's not an especially long lap. So the onus is really on ShowTime to start to make a play here to try to break through, and Hyunsoo, you can see him just try to body block a little bit, because of course 1-2 is a win condition here in team speed mode, excuse me.
Yep, 1-2-3 has been...
was just to body block ShowTime as much as possible and create issues, and now it's going to be Jimin who's going to be playing that sweeping role here in the mid-ranks, try and cause some problems here for FaZe, for Ghost, for Flair, and you can see him actually cutting in front of Ghost and then going for a sweep. Wasn't quite able to connect with that one. He is able to get some body blocks here on Flair, but keep in mind that Byung-Soo and Neil, they are continuing to run away with this thing, still a number of meters away from Ghost, the first place racer here for ShowTime.
The Liiv SANDBOX 1-2 punch is completely uncontested right now. Ghost looking for the inners there, but he bumped into the wall slightly, and the distance is not getting closed anytime soon. Liiv SANDBOX closing off round 4 with a 1-2.
Yeah, Byung-Soo, the speed ace, and Neil, the runner here for Liiv SANDBOX, doing an excellent job of running away with that one, especially in the latter part of lap number 1, with some fantastic support from Jimin and Hyunsoo doing the sweeping when they needed to. allowed their top 2 racers to just create space. And we're going to be moving on to item mode now in just a moment here as we see Byungsu actually setting a new record there. And that's what happens when your team behind you does a great job of supporting you and not causing any problems, because Byungsu pretty much out of the gate was practically in time trial mode here. Despite being team speed, there was really no contention from ShowTime at the top ranks there as Liiv SANDBOX taking the 3-1 victory.
Yep, one good note for ShowTime is that they are now at least the first amateur team to take a point off of Liiv SANDBOX in speed. And now, if they can at least use that to their morale, they're looking to continue their dominance in item mode, which is where they shine a lot more, as we see Ghost getting swapped out, and we see Fran being placed in as the item ace.
I mean, Liiv SANDBOX coming in today had an 86% win rate on tracks in speed mode, and I mean, anytime you can take a victory off of a team like that, currently the best win rate overall in team speed here in the KDL, it is going to be a confidence boost, as ShowTime, their win condition was always going to be beating Liiv SANDBOX in item mode, as Neil says goodbye. Adalda, the item specialist here, is going to sub in for me. Does Liiv SANDBOX get ready to switch gears here?
You have to wonder, is this where we get to see that 2-item specialist come into play? We kept talking about Dalda and Jimin, the 2-item aces technically coming into play. If they're able to win against a team like ShowTime today, who has been going to ace matches mostly off of their item matches, that would be a big showing.
Yeah, looking at the item track list now, ShowTime, of course, with item track priority here, gets the 1st, 3rd, and 5th pick. We're going to be starting out on World Tour London Night, and then move on to Mine Magma Cavern, Mine Mother Lode, Desert Pharaoh's Pass, and shall we go to a track number 5? That will be raised on Village Clock Tower Crossing, one we don't see too often here in item mode.
Yeah.
Or at least I certainly haven't casted the series where we had it, if we had it more.
But I love the bans coming out from Liiv SANDBOX here, taking out both tracks from Factory. I feel like the Factory tracks are a bit of an RNG fest in the sense that there's a lot of natural obstacles in the way. They don't want to deal with any of that, and they're sticking to the safer tracks they're more confident in.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's RNG, but certainly those games can be way more chaotic. And as the professional team here at Liiv SANDBOX, you want to try and control the situation as best you can here against the underdogs, ShowTime, who are going to try and mount their comeback here in item mode as we move to track number 1. It'll be World Tour London Night.
We begin our item round number 1. This is a 3-lapper track, so our teams have plenty of time to pick up items like Angel and Lightning.
And World Tour London Night has been one of these tracks that plays a little bit differently from, the other maps that we have here. It's actually the bus gets some action. We usually don't see that too often. That's the real New York City tour bus, man. I mean, these racers drive around these little miniature ones, but that's the one that can really mess you up right there, as it did some sweeping of its own here in lap number 1. But yeah, this section right here, leading up to the end of the track, can be so precarious, and the line of sight blocking with these sharp turns here, especially this one right here before the finish line, can cause some real issues for racers that are trying to either come through with attacks like rockets or trying to connect with magnets. It can get very complicated very quick, and so some teams have had a little bit of success going for some more wombo combo plays, and they're just trying to run as fast as you possibly can.
So you'll be able to absorb a lot of aggro. A nice usage of Water Bomb there, targeting only the players from Liiv SANDBOX. Now, we are moving into the 3rd lap, and as we take a look at the item inventory, there are a lot of magnets. There's 1 Angel on the side of ShowTime.
Yeah, a number of UFOs as well is actually, okay, for a second there I thought Jimin, I lost track as the players just keep changing rakes. I thought he dropped the Thunderbolt, but no, he's still the only player on the field holding on to one of those. Liiv SANDBOX would love to pick off one more. We're heading into the latter portion of lap number 3. The bridge goes up. Dalda, the only player here actually able to take the shortcut.
Yeah, Dalda having a nice lead right now, but he's going to get slowed down by the UFO. He manages to dodge through the Ferris wheel pretty nicely, but it seems like he's getting heavily contested by his own teammate in Hyunsu, looking to spin into the finish line, but it's FaZe.
Wow, Hyunsu there, yeah, the nitrous coming around the corner, but he spinned out. Actually, that allowed FaZe, the lone racer for ShowTime, close to pole position to make a Hail Mary play and finish in first place by a hair there. And a nail-biter finish, man. I was looking at the item inventories. I saw Hyunsu coming around that bend, and I thought, oh, okay, he's going to pop it. And then for sure he's gonna be able to finish it, but then he hits the barricade and he spins out, and by, what is that, like, less than a tenth of a second, ShowTime is gonna be able to sweep that one out of the feet of Liiv SANDBOX, and a stunning victory there. Nice start for ShowTime. Is, again, we always knew the winning condition here for ShowTime in this series against Liiv SANDBOX is to win an item mode and then try to beat them in ace. And coming off to a 1-0 lead in item, it's a good start.
Yeah, that missile timing was absolutely on point. It seemed like Liiv SANDBOX might still have been able to get away with it, but it was FaZe coming in clutch at the last moment there for ShowTime. And as you said, Stay leading 1-0 is absolutely the start they're looking for. As we take a look at what happened once again.
Yeah, so UFO slows down Dalda, and now Hyunsu coming in. He has that nitrous, and it's the barricade, and the missile just barely clips him right before he crosses the finish line. I still thought he might even have enough momentum after spinning out to still cross it in time, but was just a little bit too short as that rocket took all the wind out of his sails.
Yeah, I also love the line that FaZe took there, applying a lot of pressure on his opponent while simultaneously making sure that he can go into the finish line with a pretty optimal line. That was a really great play from him there, and I'm looking to see what they can bring us because the next track is picked by Liiv SANDBOX themselves. So let's see if Liiv SANDBOX can bounce back in Mine Magma Cavern.
And the race begins on Mine Magma Cavern. Liiv SANDBOX looking to get on the board here in item mode after winning speed 3-1 against ShowTime. And Mine Magma Cavern, one of my personal favorite tracks here in item mode because of how dangerous it really is in these different sections, and how effective water bombs are as a result of that, with no barriers between you and the lava. I mean, rockets can cause you to spin out from turns into, you know, despair, more or less. And also right before that finish line, this little ramp that you head up to, this choke point, we've seen so many brilliant plays with teams just timing out water bombs at the perfect moment where they cannot be dodged. This one right here, this big ramp. And I would love to see, you know, Liiv SANDBOX or ShowTime try to go for a play like that when they're setting up their item inventories for lap number 3.
Yeah, not only that, you can also go for some body checks and apply a little pressure on your opponents. Try to execute them into the lava as we see some good iteration of water bombs being used there. We're seeing the players of ShowTime having a pretty magnificent lead so far. They have an Angel, but if you take a look at the inventory of Liiv SANDBOX, it's triple lightning.
Yeah, triple lightning. Jimin was holding on to 2 lightning bolts for a very long time, and now actually Dalda with the 3rd one. So watch for Dalda and Jimin to basically just play item support here and try and get one more good support item, maybe an Angel Shield or maybe a rocket to try and attack one of the lead racers here for ShowTime coming into lap number 3. And you know, they won't be able to rotate through items quite as much, which means they won't have as much blocking, they won't have as many attacks coming out of those bottom 2 racers, but the power of 3 Thunderbolts heading into the final lap cannot be understated here, especially considering ShowTime have none on the board.
Yeah, and you can see that monster, he's been holding on to that water bomb for a really long time. So he's purposely staying behind, looking for an angle to try to snipe out the players of Liiv SANDBOX here. As we see FaZe, he's holding on to a shield. He got caught up by the water bomb there, and he's looking to utilize that here.
All right, now let's see how the Thunderbolts get used. 400 meters away, Fran right now in the lead. Angel Shield gets popped, does block the first lightning, as another one's gonna come through, and now Fran just completely stunned right there. Is this gonna be a free reign for Hyunsu? I mean, you just see the power of the Thunderbolt as if you don't have all of the defensive items necessary to match them. And I mean, who is gonna have enough to hold on against 3 Thunderbolts? You're just dead in the water. I mean, Flair had literally no momentum there for the longest time, but that was on a flat. It wasn't even him trying to get up the ramp. So LSB just making a great read on the situation, picking up every Thunderbolt they can, saving them for their final moments, and it's a 3.7-second lead for Hyunsu across the finish line, as that just completely went Liiv SANDBOX's way.
It definitely felt like for a moment there that Flair's acceleration pedal was broken because he couldn't move.
Yeah, man. I mean, you hit by a lightning bolt. I wouldn't be surprised if your car broke down too.
Yeah, that is a good point, and especially when it's triple. And we were looking at the item inventories to see if more Angels would come out, like you said, State, but there can only be so many Angels to save you because you not only have to defend against the lightnings, but we saw water bombs, missiles, water whips. All of those are really deadly in a track like Mine Magma Cavern.
Yeah, and well, we're all tied up 1-1 now between Liiv, SANDBOX, and ShowTime. As we move on to track number 3, it will be on my motherlode.
We are tied 1-1 right now here in item round 3. Either team between ShowTime and Liiv SANDBOX looking to continue a lead.
Yeah, and Liiv SANDBOX with the favor of the item gods there on the previous track. We'll see if they get to hold on to as many Thunderbolts this time as they did before, because even in track number 1, that kind of seemed to be their game plan, right? I think it was even Jim in the same racer that was trying to hold on to Thunderbolts from the beginning, from lap number 1 all the way through lap number 3. And yeah, look at Hyunsu right now. First player on the field to pick up a Thunderbolt. I would be surprised if they use that any time before the finish line, right? I mean, they would love to double up on that, triple up on that if they could.
Yep. Item mode is definitely like a game of spear versus shield. Whoever has better offense or defense wins, but so far we're seeing FaZe up there. He's going to quickly cycle through that banana right there. We're moving into the second lap. Nice water bomb there, but Monster didn't get hit by that.
Yeah, Monster is breaking away a little bit right here, as I think I can't tell exactly what weapon it was that went after Monster, but it seemed like some attack came in, so Liiv SANDBOX is going to do their best to try and close the distance here, but Hyunsu right now in 3rd place, or 4th place, excuse me, with a magnet, should be able to gain a bit of speed as we get another Thunderbolt here on Liiv SANDBOX, and now with Monster's lead diminishing, 2 Lightnings on the field, and also another UFO coming in here on Monster. It's looking good for Liiv SANDBOX here in track number 2. I'm liking their inventory setup.
Yeah, absolutely. As soon as they were able to catch up to Monster there, because they were able to expertly dodge all the water bombs being thrown by ShowTime, now they do have a pretty significant lead for themselves here in the 3rd lap. We're looking at double Lightnings being held by Liiv SANDBOX, double Angel for ShowTime.
And double Angel, quite good here for ShowTime, but would love to see a little bit more offensive capability here for them, as they just haven't really got the luck of the dice in that regard as of yet. Is Liiv SANDBOX, I'm wondering who it is going to be on their team. Perhaps Jimin right now with the Magnet and the Nitrous, who will try to make the Hail Mary play to cross the finish line first, while Dalda and Hyunsu support with the Lightnings, as we just have these players continue to rotate through their items.
Yeah, Byungsu got a great usage of shield there. He's still holding on to the magnet, looking for a potential outplay angle. Monster also holding on to a magnet of his own. Flare, he only has a shield, but he picks up a EMP wave. That is crucial because now he can defend against the magnet, but it's Jimin coming out of nowhere, speeding through into the finish line.
Yeah, the Lightnings come through in the clutch again, and ShowTime, as hard as they try to defend against him, not only did Liiv SANDBOX have those Lightnings in the bag, they also had Nitrous in a great position, and Jimin was able to leverage that there to come through, and now it's 2-1 in Liiv SANDBOX's favor after dropping track number 1. They're looking really good these last 2 maps.
Yeah, it's definitely looking rough for ShowTime right now, but the 2 times where they were able to win a set and item and take it to an ace match, or 3 times rather, it was all 3-2, so ShowTime is no stranger to playing from behind.
I did not know. That's an interesting fact right there, having them all go 3-2.
Yeah.
Well, they're going to have to do it again if they want to make it happen here against Liiv SANDBOX. I mean, ShowTime, they have shown some prowess in item mode here in the past in KDL, especially against these pro teams, but Liiv SANDBOX, these past 2 tracks just feels like they have their number. So we're going to match point now, track number 4, Liiv SANDBOX versus ShowTime. If Liiv SANDBOX wins, it will be a 2-0 sweep as we move to Desert Pharaoh's Pass. Potentially the last track of match number 1 here between ShowTime and Liiv SANDBOX, as it is match point. Liiv SANDBOX also with the victory here in speed mode. They just need 1 more track win to continue on their path to the postseason.
Yep, once again, we're on a 3-lapper track. Byungsu picking up a nice early lightning there, which is extremely helpful, but Fron also picks up an Angel as well, so that's really nice.
Yeah, but Angel shields are much more likely to get cycled out during the mid-game as a lot of attacks come in, right? So we'll see whether ShowTime decides to hang on to them. They do have 2 Angel shields in the bag right now and 2 EMPs as well, so really a lot of defensive items in their inventories overall. At that point, it makes me think that you have to kind of rotate some of these items out to try and get those Thunderbolts, right? Or at least be able to cycle through other aggressive items to slow down the fleet that is Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, and Hyunsu, he manages to pick up a magnet there, so he's going to feel a lot more comfortable now, even if he falls behind. Meanwhile, FaZe really looking to try to get some utilization out of the EMP wave. We are sitting at the second lap right now, so I doubt it's going to see much use.
A lot of water whiffs coming out of both teams right now. It's going to be 3 Angel Shields in total for ShowTime. They are not rotating those out. They did rotate out 1 EMP, but Angel Shields seems to be something they were really prioritizing here. And for Liiv SANDBOX right now, who only have 1 Thunderbolt, suddenly, we were talking about Spear and Shield. The Shield for ShowTime seems quite strong.
Yeah, absolutely. Right now, we can see Byung-Soo really trying to take the inner there to pass, but the water bomb is going to clip him. Now, Fran, sitting healthily in first place, is going to get caught up soon by Byung-Soo. Fran, he picks up an EMP. Not sure if that's what he needs. He needs a bit more items than that.
Yeah, EMP is not especially useful here, especially if you're in first place. Is looking at the Nitrous fields. You have 2 on ShowTime side, 1 for Liiv SANDBOX. Actually, one of those Nitrous gets passed, and ShowTime wants to strengthen their midfield a little bit here coming into the final lap. And still, only 1 Lightning Bolt on the field, and Byung-Soo's the one with it in his inventory. Would love to see Liiv SANDBOX or maybe even ShowTime pick up 1 more here in this final track, but that's up to fate, right? You got to play the hand that you're dealt here in item mode.
Yeah, there's 1 magnet apiece for each side right now. Hyunsu and Flare holding onto the magnet. Our eyes are on those players as FaZe. He races to the finish line. Angel coming in, manages to dodge out the water bomb, and it's the members of ShowTime who has the back of FaZe coming in 1, 2, 3, tying up the score 2-2.
Yeah, some nice defensive item usage there by ShowTime, and they just had so much manpower right by that finish line that Liiv SANDBOX, they couldn't control the flood. I mean, all those soldiers coming in for ShowTime, only 1 Thunderbolt in the bag for Liiv SANDBOX, as they were not able to get the combination of items that they needed to secure the win. And now we're going to be going to a track number 5, Peter. And you said that's how ShowTime usually likes to do it here in item mode. That might be the story yet again.
Yeah, that's how Team ShowTime runs. When it comes to item mode, they put on a show for us. Out of the 5 matches, as we said, 3 of those ace matches came from a 3-2 item mode victory, and ShowTime looking to repeat that here against a giant team like Liiv SANDBOX. It will be good for their records, because now you have to fear this team in item mode potentially.
Oh, absolutely. Here, getting a replay of lap number 1. Try to see exactly what the action is. Actually, Monster got hit with so many attacks there on the ramp that he fell a little bit back.
Yeah, but he still got off a nice water bomb there.
Yep, now here at the finish line, you can see, oh, that water bomb connecting with Jimin actually missed that there in the middle ranks, as that took a lot of the wind out of the sails of the Liiv SANDBOX players there. They would have loved to have a little bit more speed around that bend heading into the finish line, but ShowTime just able to capitalize. As we're getting ready to go to track number 5, this one will tell the tale between ShowTime and Liiv SANDBOX. If ShowTime wins, we're going to an ace match. Let's decide it here on Village Clock Tower Crossing.
We have a perfect track here to close off. We're extremely close item mode between Liiv SANDBOX and ShowTime. Whoever wins this takes it all. If it's Liiv SANDBOX, ShowTime, they take us to an ace match. And so far, we're seeing Monster and Fran really utilizing the common strategy in this track, which is to build a significant lead.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where sometimes we will see these players try to really run away with it. You can actually create some large distance here on these long winding laps. And for Monster now, he isn't too far ahead of Hyunsu. We'll see if he actually is able to gain some distance as well. Fran there actually able to take the shortcut there on the, what's it called? Water fountain. My goodness, some basic vocabulary. I had a loss for words here. Let's see, Hyunsu is going to try and wait, I think, until this turn to see if he can connect. And oh, the shield actually does pop in time there for Monster, but nothing really to deal with the UFO. So Hyunsu should be able to close the distance on him. But, man, Monster just standing strong right now here in lap number 2.
Yeah, his inventory's been quickly exhausted, but he does manage to pick up another shield for himself. Unfortunately, it does nothing against the UFO, as you said, but he went for still a nice, really cheeky block there on Byung-Soo.
Yeah, I mean, he knows that he has 2 Liiv SANDBOX players behind him, right? So he wants to, at least while he's getting slowed down, provide his teammates with some room to start to close the distance here. Now it's Fran and Jimin here in first place, and checking in on the item inventory, it is actually ShowTime with the only Thunderbolt on the field here. That is FaZe in 8th place, holding on to that. We do have a number of Nitrous also in the bag of Fran, of Hyunsu, 2 in the bag actually of Flare. as he's actually going to pop one out and try to make his way closer and closer to this first place position here on lap number 3. Is, you know, as we saw in the previous track, having a large number of racers all in position to cross that finish line when the moment comes, sharing that aggro can create a big problem for your opposing team.
Yeah, and this ledge that you got to jump off of, it's important to see what lines our players take. So far, it seems Hyunsu won the line battle between Monster and him. Now Hyunsu looking to block him out, but Monster,
no!
he manages to find a way across, shields the barricade, comes in first place for ShowTime.
Yeah, Monster coming through in the clutch. You can see the sweeping attempted there by Liiv SANDBOX, but they whiff on it just by a hair, and Monster able to weave his way through that narrow corridor, through the bodies of the Liiv SANDBOX player, and come through to force an ace matches. I mean, you called it after what, track number 3, that 3-2. This is how ShowTime likes to do it when Liiv SANDBOX is up 2-1, is ShowTime actually comes through yet again. Another 3-2 finish here in item mode, and we are going to an ace match.
They definitely make sure to show us why they are called Team ShowTime, because they want to put on a show, like we said, stay 3-2. They're looking very happy about this one, and I'm sure that we might see Ghost again participating in Ace Match. It will be really exciting to see that, because it was Ghost who was able to stop the Ace Match win streak for World from Guangdong Freaks, who is a phenomenal player who was pretty much a rival, we can say, to Jung in Ace Match.
Yeah, beating World is just something incredible, and even independent of that, in team match speed overall, we talk about how ShowTime, they've been struggling a lot in that mode, but Ghost in particular, individually, he hasn't, which is impressive considering the lack of support he's really been having from his other teams. I mean, he is 6th overall for individual racers in team speed mode in terms of overall rank. He's finishing, you know, somewhere between 3rd and 4th place on average pretty much every track, so you got to think that he's going to be a no-brainer choice here for ShowTime. And if you're Liiv SANDBOX, the decision is a little bit more complicated. Of course, Neil, he's a player that has done it all. You know, he's won championships. He's going to be a team champion eventually here in Kartrider Drift League. It's all but inevitable. This guy is one of the best. He is the best global player to ever play Kartrider, period. But I mean, the speed ace that they have now, Byung-Soo, is also a top racer here for Liiv SANDBOX. There's so much speed talent on this roster, it's really hard to choose just one player, and you can see the coach discussing there, at least for a moment, with his players to try and decide who that player is going to be, because you lose this match here against Ghost, and suddenly you're not going to be the 1st seed or the 2nd seed heading in the postseason. That's in jeopardy. You might be 3rd.
Right, but you can see the coach of Liiv SANDBOX, there are a lot of smiles all around. I'm pretty sure he's just asking the players, all right guys, we're all good. Who wants to play today? Who's feeling on top of their form? And honestly, so far it's been Neil. Liiv SANDBOX, they only have to play 2 ace matches. Neil played in both of them, and he was able to secure a victory against Hojin and Summer. And especially talking of Hojin, he is a player in top form right now, especially that match. It was really close between Neil and Hojin as well. I feel like one key aspect to Neil is that I think Neil is one of the best players in Kartrider Drift at the timing the drafts. And that's what can be really game-changing in a match like an ace match where it's just a 1v1.
Yeah.
So Neil is probably still my best bet.
Yeah, I could absolutely see it. I agree with you that Neil is probably the most likely racer here to come out for Liiv SANDBOX here in this 1v1, as he's been so clutch for them in the past, and even beating Hojin, as you said. Hojin just kind of reinventing himself, returning to form here in KDL Preseason 2, as his Preseason 1 performance coming out of retirement, it was a little bit lackluster by, you know, the Emperor's standards, right? I mean, it was obviously a respectable performance for Sensation, but KDL Preseason 2, he's doing so much better, and so for Neil to be able to take him down, gotta be a confidence booster for already one of the greatest of all time Kartrider racers in Neil.
For sure. I just took a look at the pose of the members in ShowTime, and it seemed like all the players were kind of just relaxed, sitting around, talking and chilling, but only Ghost, he was sitting there completely focused, no movement, no change of expression even. He's ready to game. I can tell you right now that we're going to see Ghost for sure.
Yeah. It would not surprise me the slightest. Cameraman
Neil.
focusing here on Neil. Seems like he might be getting ready to face off against Ghost. Although we have been deked is the term, where the players fool you into thinking that, you know, either they were chosen or somebody wasn't chosen, or, you know, in baseball you use that term where you know, player the outfield, they'll make a big catch and they'll just pretend they didn't caught it, and then they're like, I got it. Neil did that to us in KDL Preseason 1. I had a big laugh about that. So I don't trust him too much here, even though he looks like he's getting ready. He looks like he's getting in position to play.
Look at that. Only Neil is not in this team discussion.
Okay.
If Neil is acting this one out, we may as well hand him an Oscar.
I mean, he might deserve it. He might deserve an Oscar at this point. I mean, after the trickery he's brought out before. But yeah, I think the decisions are going to be coming in pretty soon as that music.
Ooh.
That's a nice picture right there.
Yeah, I love that selfie.
Yeah, a lot of fans here in the audience. Usually Wednesdays are the slower days here in the KDL because
Ooh,
some global fans here supporting Neil.
That
is so
what
cool.
Our producers say. I love that selfie. I would love to have a selfie like that with Neil.
I'm sure you could get one, man. You're casting. I bet you ask him. Go out there in this suit, ask him for a selfie.
But I'm shy. He's a global superstar. When you come into the face of the likes of Neil, you can't help but feel like a smaller version of yourself.
I know. I certainly do know what that's like. I mean, I've competed in games in the past. I've casted a variety of games, but even when I meet, you know, legends of other RTS or esports titles too, it's always a little bit humbling, right? Especially if they come before your time.
Yeah, and it seems like we got a ruling. It seems there's a tech issue going on, so we're making sure to get that solved real quickly because we don't want anything to ruin an exciting ace match like the likes of a potential Neil versus Ghost matchup.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it could just be something like sound. Oftentimes it lands like this one. That could be an issue, or you know, maybe just some keyboard setting doesn't feel right. I'm sure the tech team here at the KDL will be able to sort this very shortly, as we're still waiting to see what the decision is going to be here from Liiv SANDBOX or from ShowTime. But I'm right there with you where, you know, 100% ShowTime, it's got to be Ghost. He's been racing so well, 6th overall in standings right now in team speed. And for Liiv SANDBOX, although you do have a lot more options, I mean, just looking at the camera shot now, it really does seem like Neil is the one who is truly getting ready. And if he was fooling us again, yeah, this is absolutely, you know, Oscar, Academy Award, whatever you want to give him.
Yeah, imagine Jimin right there, not even looking at his computer screen, all of a sudden just turn around and get ready to game. But it seems like our track has been chosen. It'll be in Glacier Extreme Stadium.
That's a fun one for an ace match, too. I can't wait to see those hairpin turns. One of the best tracks that we have overall here in Team Speed. One of my favorites. And yeah, it's going to be Neil versus Ghost. All right, let's do this thing.
This is a super exciting matchup. If Neil wins this one, then he continues his win streak here in Preseason 2. He'll be 3-0 in ace matches against some phenomenal players, whereas Ghost, he's played in 3 ace matches, lost 2 of them, but his one victory was against World. So if he's able to stop the win streak of Neil here today, I'm sure that'll give him a lot of boost of confidence.
Absolutely is. We'll see if he can take down another legend here in Neil, as Ghost versus Neil, ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX, all comes down to this ace match on Glacier Extreme Stadium.
Ladies and gentlemen, we kickstart an awesome 1v1 ace match between Ghost and Neil. It's Neil leading the charge right now, but I'm sure Ghost is looking for those drafts.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost is easily in draft range, so I would not be surprised to see this change hands as it immediately does. And also watching the nitrous meter, very close overall between these two players. They are exchanging a little bit here as, you know, they keep trying to pass each other in lines and just get more on that defensive setup. And Neil right there sacrificing a little bit of speed to build more nitrous gauge. Would not be surprised to see him try and take a pass here on one of these closer turns.
It's like watching the players constantly with rock, paper, scissors right now. You win, I win, they're just exchanging blows. But at the end of the day, it seems like the nitrous boost gauge is pretty close for the most part. And Neil, he's still within a good range. He can get back into that draft range easily.
Yeah, and Neil taking these hairpin turns a little bit tighter than Ghost will allow him to close some of the distance. But I gotta say, Ghost doing a fantastic job of actually creating space here. And Neil, although he is a little bit ahead in the nitrous gauge, it's gonna be tough for him. Almost an uphill battle to try and close the distance properly.
Ooh.
As we are getting closer and closer, Neil still one more nitrous in the back. And
actually,
wow!
Goodness, Neil! coming in with the tight line, and he manages to block out Ghost simultaneously. And you have to keep in mind that Neil is a full Nitrous boost gates ahead now, so he's feeling phenomenal.
Yeah, that was an insane move. I'm surprised he actually went for that one, as it could have been a really big problem should he have collided with that wall. But Neil, with just absolute guts, coming through, not only blocking Ghost, but also taking the pass and then fighting immediately after that. Now coming into the hairpin turns, Neil and Nitrous are in or almost about half a Nitrous ahead. And in a fantastic spot here, Ghost, he has to make a play sometime soon if he wants to come through with a win.
Ghost, he's trying to make it happen right now, but Neil is too far to get any draft range. And Neil coming in, closing it off with his Neil build in style for Liiv SANDBOX, getting his team a much-deserved victory.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX is going to move to 5-1 overall right now after that win by Neil, as Neil put on a clinic, and it was a little scary for a moment there after lap number 1, as you know, Ghost, you could feel that lead starting to build and build and build, but that's because Neil was prioritizing Nitrous as much as he did, and then coming through with that insane inner line. I hope we get a replay of that. I'm sure it's going to be in the highlights if we don't have a replay of it ready right now.
Yeah.
Neil passing Ghost and then also coming through with the block and just securing his position there in first place. It was so great to see. I mean, Ghost, that was a tremendous race from him. ShowTime, they looked strong here yet again. They just haven't really been able to put all the pieces together as of yet in KDL Preseason 2. But I gotta say that the racers here for ShowTime, that's some respect being shown there by Neil. But the racers here for ShowTime, I mean, there's so much skill on this team. The skill ceiling, they have not even come close to reaching it. And I guarantee you, we're going to see a lot more of these guys later on in KDL Preseason 2 and over the rest of the year.
For sure. As we take a look at our results for match number 19, it was Liiv SANDBOX taking speed 3-1. It felt extremely dominating here, but when it came to the item mode, ShowTime showed up and showed us why they've been able to force these ace matches, taking us to round 5. And ultimately, an ace match, it was Neil who won against Ghost.
Yeah, nice ace match victory there by Neil, and Liiv SANDBOX looking as good as ever in speed, continuing to maintain their first place record overall in team speed mode. I think that win rate is still hovering about something ungodly, 80% or something around that line. So Liiv SANDBOX, a force to be reckoned with here for sure, moving up to 5-1 overall in the standings now, passing the Kwangdong Freaks for second place, and also a plus one, only a +1 round differential, right? I think from that one. So Liiv SANDBOX, you know, it's not exactly the buffer that they would like, is I think it's probably going to come down to the round differentials to decide who's going to advance first between them and the Kwangdong Freaks in the seeding for the postseason. But a lot of these pro teams, it feels like they've all but booked their ticket to those playoffs.
I'm sure it's no surprise to many of us here that we are seeing that rivalry kind of play out again here in Preseason 2 between Liiv SANDBOX and Kwangdong Freaks. Not only was it present in KDL Preseason 1, but it also comes from the original Kart Rider League. These two teams have a long history behind them. And the one really surprising thing right now coming into Preseason 2 is that, of course, Seongnam ROX being the only undefeated team so far.
Yeah, 4-0. They're playing third today as well, so we'll see if they can maintain that undefeated record as I mean, all these pro teams so far, it feels like they are really stepping up here in KDL Preseason 2. It feels like the skill gap might be even getting wider in KDL Preseason 2 between the rookies, the amateur teams, and the pro teams. We'll have to see if that continues. As you know, it just does feel like all these old legends are really starting to hit their stride in this new game.
Yeah, I absolutely agree that the gap is sort of widening, especially for speed mode. It's mainly been the item mode where it's been a bit shaky for a lot of our pro teams. That's where they've been losing those sets and having to go through the ace matches. But like we said, they're so good at speed that even when they do an ace match, they're likely to win because they have phenomenal players who are specializing in that department.
Yeah. Well, that's going to be it for match number 1. We're going to go to a short break. When we get back, Potential versus Sensation in team match number 2. You don't want to miss it. We'll see you soon.
nobody stopping me. Ain't nobody stopping me. Nobody stopping me. Ain't nobody stopping me.
만드나요? 먼저 그냥 앞쪽 올라가서 공태만 맞아 들어가네요.
오히려 속도 붙여서 쫓아가려고 할 때 뒤쪽에서 끊는 게 더 효율적이다라고 판단하겠죠.
오긴 많이 왔는데 이 상황에서 세라픽 때문에 붙었고
일부러 살짝 붙여서 맞는 느낌이 있거든요.
피어는 물 해요? 물 묵직한 거.
자,
네.
이거 사이드로 최대한 피했어요.
일단은 지금 공격형 아이템 하나로는 압도적으로 도망갈 수 있는 그림은 아니었기 때문에
와 2중 3중으로 못 갔어요.
해지는 있는데 지금 막을 게 많지는 않은 광동 프리스가 되겠습니다.
근데 쿨도 있고 뒤에 월드도 있고.
오히려 세라픽 약간 스페이스 플레이가 나와버렸거든요.
네.
이거 해지 보네요.
자, 이거 근데
아니.
우선은 월드가 보이긴 합니다.
아니 바나나 먹을 때가 아닌데 지금.
자, 이거 마지막 역전 한
당겨도
방이
해지죠.
있어요.
당겨도
수루피
해지죠.
자석 들어갑니다. 어이 수루피.
야, 스루피 진짜 침착하네요. 이거 혼자 완전 적진을 뚫고 들어가서
네.
그냥 이거는 혼자서 사실 다 당할 만한 그림이었었는데 오히려 그냥 1대 다수를 이겨냈습니다. 그리고 이 트랙은 아무리 도망가려고 해도 도망을 갈 수 없는 트랙이거든요.
근데 가드가 물로 두 명을 잡아버리면서 약간 도망가고 있는데 페이지가 또 묶였고.
물폭탄 한 방 뒤에서 보고 있어요.
근데 1등이 합니다. 호준 선수가 살짝 감속됐거든요.
오늘 어이구네.
뒤쪽에서 한번 끊어주긴 했습니다. 끊어주긴 했기 때문에 센세이션 선수들이 도망갈 수 있는 여건을 마련해 놨어요.
어이 물로 한 번 더.
뭔가 이게 원래 불가능해야 되는데 가능할 것 같다라는 생각이 들지 몰라왔거든요. 그러니까 되게 재밌는 음성이죠.
네, 페이지가 방금 선두권 합류 못했으면 진짜 이대로 그냥 굳히기 들어가서 경기 터졌을 수도 있어요.
맞아 지금 바나나 들고 이제 이 직접 바나나 살짝 피하면서 페이지 삐. 근데 이 바나나는 못 피했어요.
와, 그 심지어 가드가 조금 더 괴롭히죠.
그리고 이 과정에서 센세이션 선수들이 천사를 3개를 잘 확보를 해서 하나를 사용을 했기 때문에 후반부 싸움에서 방어하는 싸움에선 유리합니다.
그리고 기계 바나나도 먹었어요.
거대 톱니에서
바나나 또 먹어. 뭐 배 터지겠네요.
한서로 과다거든요. 이러면
저러면 약간 문제가 생길 수
물건이 안
있어요.
나와요.
음식은 골고루 먹어야죠.
1등이 잡혀야 되거든요. 1등이 잡혀야 물건이 나옵니다.
이거 몬스터가 지금 빨리 판단해야 됩니다. 차라리 그렇죠.
안 나와요?
버리고 다음 거 봐야 돼요.
번개인데 천사로 상쇄.
자, 근데 1등 실드 하나 있는 상황에서 얼마큼 더 이번 아이템 중요하거든요. 앞에 보이긴 합니다.
아이 잡혔어요.
부족함.
그러면 뒤쪽에서 물이 또 날라올 수 있거든요.
퍼센트.
거리 기가 막혔습니다.
쓰레기 자르는 게 된다고요.
호전이 들어갑니다. 센세이션.
호준의 러너 역할 수행 능력 무시무시했지만 이번 경기에서는 센세이션 선수는 퍼센트 조커 가드가 뒤쪽에서 물폭탄 끌어주는 게 너무 좋았습니다.
거대 톱니에서 이 트랙을 도망가는 거 거의 처음 보는 것 같습니다.
근데 어쨌든 이 둘 중에 하나 살았습니다. 지난 그 결승전 4위 멤버 그리고 당연히 결승전은 가는 것처럼 느껴지는 그 멤버 이 둘의 대결이에요.
그리고 평소 성향대로 위험 구간에서 싸움 안 겁니다. 살짝 속도 죽여가면서 위험한 구간 지나고 나서 이제 승부 걸겠다는 생각이죠.
그렇죠. 뭐 이거 동굴 구간 지나고 직선 구간 나왔을 때 드랩 타이밍 본다던가 마지막 한 타이밍 더 보면 되기 때문에 양 선수가 오히려 과감하게 간다면 지민 쪽이죠. 그러니까 오히려 과감하면 지민 쪽이 더 가깝거든요.
그래서 좀 과감하게 스타운 한번 해봤습니다. 녹이
근데
기둥치라고 있죠 지민?
녹이 사실 이런 플레이를 보여주는 스타일이 아니거든요.
다행인 건 녹이 부스터 2개를 완성한 상태에서 스탑을 걸었고 빠르게 회복이 됐기 때문에 부스터 상황에서는 손해를 안 봤어요.
드랩이 약간 애매한 타이밍에 좀 나와서
이거 스피터도
둘이
봐야겠는데요.
사이즈 좋지 않았거든요. 과감하게
여기를 한번 돌아왔어.
깔끔했어요. 하지만 지민에게 타이밍이 없지 않거든요.
지민 한번 더.
드랩이
스탑 한 번 더 나올 수도 있고요.
지민
했어요.
지민 어때? 지민.
우와, 진짜 재밌게 싸웠습니다. 평소에 서로에 대해서 잘 알고 있는 두 명이었을 것 같은데 녹도 최선을 다해서 막아주고 스피턴 과감하게 승부수도 뛰었고요.
그래서 한번 슬쩍 넘어가는데 싶었는데
네.
지민과의 마지막 세승부에서 지민의 집중력이 여기서 뚫어냈습니다. 0.071초
번개 또 2개?
또 왔어요.
랩에서
번개가 2개가 있긴 하지만 웨이브가 지금 실드 리필을 잘 해가고 있는 상황이기 때문에 확실하게 속도를 줄일 수 있는 우주선 같은 아이템들이
아니 플랜지 오늘 번개 엄청 많이 붙는데요.
런던 나이트에서 약간 빌려온 것 같기도 하고요.
모르게 자꾸 이런 걸 땡겨 마이너스 통장이야? 모르게 땡겼어요.
와, 3개!
이거 왜 이래 마통이?
그래서 썼어요.
일단 뭐 계속해서 들고 있을 수는 없으니까 하나씩 소모를 시켜주는 상황이 굉장히 좋았죠. 그리고 어차피 이렇게 되면 하위권도 다시 상위권에 다 붙을 수 있거든요.
저 석번개 저거 어떻게 한 거예요?
이거 약간 지금 오히려 좀 침착하게 갔으면 어땠었을까 하는 생각이 들고 거리 차이가 멀리 나다 보면
번개 또 있어요.
그러니까 멀어지려고 하면은 번개가 지금 떨어지거든요.
이거 점프대 구간에 2개를 연속으로 쓸 건지 아니면 하나 정도는 맨 마지막까지 아낄 건지 판단하겠죠.
괜찮아 없어. 그래서 우주를 넣었는데 그래서 해치 바로 이어졌긴 했거든요.
바나나가 몸으로 막아요. 바나나가 일단 몸으로 막았습니다만 뚫고 갑니다.
끝까지 일단 번개 2개를 참았다가 최후의 순간에 넣을 생각인데 어차피 웨이브는
웨이브
시드가
앞에?
2개거든요.
자 이렇게 되면은 아이템 상황 이제 방템이 없긴 해요. 이러면은
어떻게 하나 일단 두찌는 돌았어요. 이제 번개 치기 시작하는데 천사 있었죠.
근데 이렇게 되면 하나 더.
번개 또 있어요. 그러면 두찌 누구?
돌았어요.
플랜지.
아 치열합니다. 템님 이거는 런던 나이트부터 시작할 때 번개가 정말 끝도 없이 쏟아졌는데
예.
버틸 뻔했었거든요 이거는.
두 경기 앞서서 번개가 한 10번 나왔는데 다 락스에 꽂혔고 그 중에서 지금 플랜지가 거의 뭐 5점 정도 아닌데 번개 지역인데 엄청 뭐가 많아요. 독이 막아야 되는데 지금 아래에 있습니다.
네, 다른 트랙 같으면 쿨이 스피어를 앞쪽으로 빼주고 본인이 2위, 3위에서 틀어맞겠지만 워낙에 코스가 좁은 트랙이기 때문에 주행을 선택을 했네요.
자, CG가 스피어의 그 벽을 한번 뚫어냈습니다. 하지만 여전히 순위는 광독이 또 괜찮습니다.
아 이문으로 들어가서 신재 선수 감정이 있을 줄 알았는데 오히려 뒤에 약간 라인 블로킹이 돼버렸고 앞쪽에서 1대1 싸움 해주면서 뒤가 올라오면 돼요. 뒤도 살짝
네.
순위 많이 꼬였네요.
이러면 쿨이 한번 눌러주고 스피어가 접근하는 사이에 월드가 속도 더 붙여서 원투 완성하고 이런 그림이 나올 수 있겠습니다. 이거 뒤에서 공격하려는
자, 코리 옆도 한번 튕겼고
아 나쁘지 않은 플레이였어. 괜찮았는데 생각보다 타이건이 거리가 좀 있다는 거.
근데 CG가 지금 2명을 날린 셈이 됐습니다.
네, 맨 마지막까지 1위를 탈환할 수 없다면 스탑도 한번 생각해봐야
거의
됩니다.
다 진경기라고 봤는데 우선은 나쁘진 않거든요.
그 순위가 나쁘지 않거든. 1포인트 차 1포인트.
1, 4, 6, 8은 안 돼요. 2, 3, 5, 7 줍니다. 이러면
자, 어떻게 되나요? 이거 순위를 끌어올릴 수 있나요? 일단은 현재까지 1포인트 뒤지고 있는
3, 5,
아우라인데
7
이거 뒤에서 이러면 아우라.
히어로가 스탑을 하지 않고 주행을 끝까지 유지한 게 이유가 있었네요. 뒤에 오고 있는 녹을 믿고 있었습니다.
야 이거는 약간 예상치 못한 오히려 앞쪽에서 스탑을 할 거라고 생각을 하면서 너무 신경을 많이 쓰다가 약간 무너진 것이 아닌가 실수가 나온 것이 아닌가라는 생각이 드는 장면이었습니다.
Welcome back to the KDL, everybody. Stay with me as Peter. We just wrapped up ShowTime versus Liiv SANDBOX for match number one. Now we're moving on to match number 2 today. Potential versus Sensation. Rookies against a team led by the Emperor. Potential, the first ones coming out. Banana leading the charge.
Yeah, he has a classic signature pose, always coming in clapping. You gotta love it. And Potential as a team, although they are 1-3 right now in set scores, actually every single match was taken to an ace match. So they do have definitely the potential to start winning some sets. And if they do that against Sensation today, that would be a huge upset.
Yeah, but I feel like Sensation, at least this preseason 2 here at the KDL, they're looking so much stronger than they did just a number of weeks ago, with Hojin really returning to form now, one of the top racers in the Kart Rider Drift League overall, and Sensation just overall looking so much more powerful. You got to think that Potential might be stopped here from reaching that ace match if this one's going to go in a 2-0. I think it's going to go Sensation's way. Percent, Guard, Hojin, and Joker, one of the few teams to run a 4-man roster here. The confidence to not even have an item ace.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with that state. Sensation is definitely a team to be feared when you take a look at their roster. However, if you take a look at the prelim records, Sensation actually went all the way down to the ace match against Potential, even as of the season.
Oh, in the preliminaries, I was not aware of that. Wow.
So this is going to be a really close match. If Sensation manages to win 2-0, like you said, that would be a great showing of their current form.
Yeah, but Potential, just like many of the other rookie teams, have been so good in item mode. First victory achieved with Summer's fiery driving. Potential's main stage journey starts now as Summer, the speed 8s on this team, struggled in ace matches for a very long time, but finally was able to break through. You see him right there, 5th overall
Yeah, definitely doing a lot of heavy lifting as far as the average ranks go in speed so far. I can definitely see this one going close.
Wow, potential sensation. I'm sorry, but we will be the ones to make it to the postseason.
Yeah.
I admire the confidence. Potential right now sitting in 6th place with a 1-3 record. They only have, I think, 3 matches left to be played, including this one. So it would take, I mean, it is theoretically possible, but it would take a wild streak. They would need to win this match, and I think pretty much all their other matches to contest with the likes of Sensation and Aura to actually get that top 4 spot and qualify for the postseason. Meanwhile, Sensation right now sitting in 4th with a 2-2 record. 1 win away, or I should say they played 1 less match than Aura. Aura has 1 more loss than them. Sensation would love to solidify their position here with a win today.
Yeah, Sensation, they have a 100% win rate against amateur teams, and Potential is definitely one of those teams right here today, so they are looking to continue that streak and being a bit respectful. You can really see the confidence playing a role here, just saying fighting to their opponents.
Yeah, no trash talk needed here from Sensation. All class, smiles here at the desk on stage as they're looking confident, looking comfortable. Getting ready to go into speed as Sensation have just been looking so good overall, not just in speed mode, but also in item mode. They've really shored up their game, almost a 60% win rate in both team speed and team item to this point here in the KDL.
Yeah, especially in the preliminary, Sensation did beat Potential 3-0 in speed, which is why we see Potential when they got an opportunity. They chose speed priority, taking New York Rally for themselves along with Japan Circuit and Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
Yeah, Desert Construction Chaos and Winding Slopes, the map picks here for Sensation. So, we're at least going to see WKC Japan Circuit. Haven't seen it too much so far here in the KDL preseason in speed mode. And should we go to a map number 4 or a map number 5, Mine Winding Slopes and Village Boom Hill Tunnel will be those tracks. And I do like Potential picking speed mode here as their priority because, you know, getting that 1 extra map pick, it definitely helps a lot here in team speed against a team as proficient as Sensation, especially with, you know, the reinvigorated Hojin.
Yeah.
You need every advantage that you can get.
Sensation, they banned out both the WKC tracks there. I like the bans because we saw Potential instantly pick up a WKC track when it was available. But this first track is going to be World Tour New York Rally. Let's see if Potential can get a point on their own track.
And off we go. Match number 2 here today at the KDL. Potential versus Sensation, starting team speed on World Tour New York Rally as we just watch these players continue to trade hands here at the top of the ranks. But Potential up to a very good start. I mean, Best, Wave, and Taman consistently battling these top spots, especially Taman there at the New York City Tour Bus doing some nice sweeping. See him zoning out Joker right now on the back rank.
Yeah, this is a super strong position, like you said, Stay. You absolutely want to corner your opponents into the 7-8, and Potential is doing that so far with Best, trying to contest that 1-2, making sure it cannot be held by Sensation.
Yeah, but Hojin is breaking away quite well here for first place. Best is going to try his best to pass him here. No pun intended. There's also Summer and Guard joining the fray. It's almost a little bit of a logjam here in the top ranks. I wouldn't be surprised if we had a little bit of some collisions here with some sweeping coming into the mix as we have so many cards so densely packed. Hojin and Best, they are breaking away a little bit here.
Yeah. You can see the aggression come out from Best right now. He was trying to tackle out Hojin. It didn't work out, but now he was able to break into the line of Hojin, now taking first place. Wave trying to play support now to try to get the 1-2. It is Potential being really closely tied with Sensation. Guard and Wave both take huge collisions.
Yeah, so Sensation and Potential both taking damage there with Guard and Wave falling all the way down to position 7 and 8 right now. It's so close here at the top. Hojin versus Best for first place is the main storyline here. Is Hojin with that long inner line able to take first place, and he has double blue nitro in the back too, so first place all but assured for him. However, the 2-3-4 finish for Potential will be enough for them to eke out a victory by 1 point here against Sensation, despite the heroics there from Hojin. The rest of Sensation's roster unable to break through in the middle ranks as Potential wins, excuse me, track number 1.
Yeah, it's definitely a tongue twister there between the two teams, but as you said, State, Hojin was making a run for the money. He was the hero for his team. Securing that first place, almost won his team the match. As you can see, it was 20-19, Potential taking it with 1 point lead. It was that 2-3-4 coming in at the last second that was the crucial win condition there for Potential.
Yeah, Potential with a clutch 2-3-4. If even one of their racers fell one position back, it would have been destruction for them here in track number 1, but instead able to win on their track choice is now Sensation. A little bit of pressure here against the very rookie team Potential to start things out.
They were able to beat them previously 3-0, but this time that plan has already been foiled. So it seems like Sensation really got to keep up with Hojin here. He really needs some support desperately going into round 2 because Potential so far, they are doing a better job with that.
Yeah, well, let's see if that story continues to hold true as we get ready to move on to track number 2, Potential versus Sensation. Potential up 1-0 right now as we move on to Desert Construction Chaos.
We have Potential leading 1-0 here in speed round number 2. We are in a 2-lapper track, and you can see once again the positional advantage for Potential looking phenomenal.
Yeah, Potential both in track number 1 and track 2 off to such a great start with, you know, at least 3 players contesting top spots, and now it's a 3v2 with Taemin, Summer, and Wave actually all in pole positions here. Guard is going to break through at least for a moment now.
Ooh, Taemin.
Yeah, Taemin actually, was that Taemin who collided with the side of the wall? That's a lot of lost momentum going all the way from 2nd place down to 8th. So Sensation with a lucky break there.
Ooh, but another huge collision there is gonna set behind Sensation now. 1, 2, 3, 4 is really heavily contested. It's Potential having a slight advantage, but now Sensation coming right back.
You can see a lot of pressure on both these teams, both in track 1 and track 2. Some uncharacteristic missteps from both rosters. Again, once Hojin falls back there, takes that inner line a little bit too tight. Now Summer uncontested here in first place. Is, you know, at this point it really feels like whichever team is able to tighten up the bolts on the ship a little bit will be able to have a better chance of making through. But for now, Potential in a commanding position is they're really capitalizing on the mistakes from ShowTime in track number 1, or lap number 1, excuse me.
Yeah, Potential was actually sitting in 7-8, pretty much locked into that, but now with the breathing space they were given, they're able to solidify a nice position, 1-3-5-6. If they can keep Guard and Hojin locked down, if Best can sweep them consistently, that is the win condition here for Potential.
Yeah, Wave was doing a good job as well. Actually still remaining as he regains 3rd place of just zoning out Joker and allowing Summer to play his 1v1 here against Percent. Summer, of course, with a significant lead over that as Percent doing everything in his power to close the distance. But just looking at the Nitrous gauge, it is favoring Potential and Summer right now. 2 blue Nitrous in the bag. Percent now those reds converted into blues. T-Heater fills all the way up, but Wave, yeah, with a bad collision. Actually, man, so many collisions here. Like, it's like pinball coming through on these upper slopes of Construction Chaos, and now Sensation actually with all the momentum, it's them with a 2-3-4 spot. I don't know if Best is gonna be able to close the distance. That's too much room, Peter.
Yeah, absolutely. When Wave crashed into the wall, it was all members of Sensation just passing by saying, hey, let us through, we're coming in for that 2-3-4-5, and they won with style in this round number 2 with the team domination.
Yeah, but what a clumsy one, I feel like, from both teams. Very chaotic, a lot of pressure, a lot of, I mean, you can see them really battling for every possible angle they can take. And, you know, that leads to some situations where you have racers colliding with walls or maybe clipping a wall and losing a lot of momentum, as it wasn't just one team, it was both teams repeatedly trying to take those aggressive lines and also trying to go for very aggressive body blocks because, you know, they felt like that would be the key to success. And at the end of the day, Sensation getting the better end of that trade will be able to tie things up 1-1 after track number 2.
Yeah, as you said, State, we saw a lot of high-risk, high-reward plays being made, and in first lap, it was Sensation that was on the back end of that, but when it came to lap number 2, it was Potential's turn to fall, and you can see some of those plays happening here right now. They were trying to go for the stops to ruin the opponent's lines, but they ended up destroying their own.
Yeah, first one that we saw there was Taemin and then Hojin in the 1v1 for first place. Try to go in with that line and sweep a little bit, but colliding with a wall. However, Sensation able to redeem themselves there in lap number 2 and deliver a victory and tie things up 1-1 as we get ready to move on to track number 3, Potential versus Sensation. It will be raced on WKC Japan circuit. here on Japan Circuit, Sensation's Hojin currently holding the team speed track record. We'll see if he can continue that or potentially even best it. Off to a great start already here in second place.
Yeah, absolutely. 2-3-4 is a great position for Sensation right now. You can see potential. They're really far behind, and it opens up a lot of room for Percent and Joker to look for the sweeps. And you can see now Temin running for it, trying to get into the top ranks.
Yeah, main story for me though right now is this battle between Hojin and Best here for position number 1. Is you see Hojin doing everything in his power to hold on to it, and Guard also trying to support him with a little bit of sweeping because Sensation, they want to start to set up for that 1-2, and Best is doing a great job of dealing with this. I mean, a 2v1 against Hojin and Guard. I mean, Guard has stunned us with some fantastic sweeping earlier on in KDL Preseason 2, so for Best to be able to continue to run away with this thing as he is, very commendable performance from him. And with Taman, Summer, and Wave in positions 6, 7, and 8, they have a lot of need for Guard to hold on, or Best, excuse me, to hold on to that position number 1.
As you said, Best has been trying his hardest to win the lines against Hojin and Guard, but he can't keep it up for too long. He needs his teammates to catch up, but so far, it's Joker and Percent winning against the 3 members of Potential in the sweeping role.
Yeah, and you can see just the war of attrition favoring Sensation right now, with Best falling all the way down to 3rd place. Now Taman and Wave. Cavalry is coming in here for Potential, so there may be a light at the end of the tunnel if they're able to close the distance and actually lend some support, but you just see Best continuously trying to make something happen, and it's so hard in a 1v2 situation like this. I mean, he can go for whatever line he wants, but Hojin with a nice body blocking here, and then Guard running away with it. And should Hojin miss, I mean, Guard will be there to play the same role and allow Hojin to catch up.
Yeah, Best is absolutely looking to try to take rank 1 right now, but Hojin making sure to pressure Best whenever possible. Here's Best coming in with the inners, and he does manage to knock out Guard, but Sensation bounces right back, and it's going to be that trusty 1-2 punch that gives Sensation a 2-1 victory here for them.
Yeah, and that was a valiant effort there by Best. I mean, from truly the beginning of lap number 1 all the way to the end of lap number 3, it was a 1v2 between him, Hojin, and Guard. And that's just such a gauntlet to run for any racer. In a 1v2 situation, it can be so tough, but against 2 legends of the game in Hojin and Guard, I mean, that's a difficult task for anybody. So Sensation, with some nice teamwork there, able to hold on to the top ranks in that 2v1 situation, actually come through with a 1-2 finish, will win track number 3, and now it's Sensation on match point, up 2-1 here in speed mode.
Yeah, I mean, originally it was Sensation that we expected to see winning in speed mode, so this is no surprise that Sensation is managing to bounce back even on their opponent's track. And of course, round number 4 is going to be a track chosen by Sensation. They are definitely looking to close it out here in mind-winding slopes, so let's see if they can get a clean 3-1 sweep. Sensation with the momentum in their favor right now, looking to continue on their lead here with Guard and Percent, trying to go for the 1-2 combo.
Yeah, mind-winding slopes can be a very tricky track as well, so we'll have to watch and see what kind of sweeping plays come in on either side here through these narrow corridors. As right now, Sensation with 4 racers in the top 5 in a commanding position, and once again, Guard in the top ranks. You can see Hojin there down in position number 5, would love to start to close the distance. And once again, the same story as the previous track. It's Best alone here for Team Potential, trying his best to fight against the gauntlet that is Sensation here. I mean, Guard and Percent are doing a fantastic job of zoning him out, and yeah, it's just such a challenge here. You just see these sweeps and these body blocks coming in, especially with Percent right behind him in the New York City tour bus. And looking at the minimap as well, Taman all the way behind in 8th place. I mean, that's pretty much a lock for him. It's going to be so hard, even in time trial mode, to close the distance. So the pressure is on now for Wave and Summer to start to close the distance and, you know, work their way up to position 5, 4, 3, lend some support here for Best. Otherwise, Sensation's going to be winning speed mode.
Best is doing really great right now, however, winning a lot of the body checks, but as you said, it doesn't really matter when you have Wave, Summer, Temin sitting at 5, 6, 8. This is looking like a pretty dominating Sensation victory here. 1, 2, 3, not even needed. They won this as a team.
Yeah, I mean, it's a short track, mind-winding slopes, and there isn't a lot of room for error there, so Sensation able to just consolidate their forces at the front of the pack. And once again, not even a 2v1, but a 3v1 situation there against Best, as his teammates lagging a little bit behind. Potential is going to now have to set their eyes on item mode to try to force an ace match here against Sensation, who pull away with a clean 3-1 win.
Yeah, this is definitely really concerning right now for Potential, because their core strategy was winning an item match and then sending Summer into the ace match. But given that Summer struggled so hard today in team speed, you have to wonder if Summer's on his best form today, because if they are able to force an ace match here, Summer would have to play against Hojun, who is absolutely on top form right now.
Yeah, Best certainly did feel like he was the best racer on Team Potential so far today. So should we go to an ace match, it will be an interesting decision whether they go back to their speed ace, their tried and true Summer, or if they try somebody new. But I mean, that's something that you can't really spend your energy now on thinking if you are Potential. You got to focus on the here and now, this moment. Get Banana swapped in there to play item mode alongside his old buddy Taman, and hopefully Potential will be able to come back here. But Sensation, so far in item mode, they've been looking a lot stronger here in KDL Preseason 2 as we look at the item track list. Sensation, of course, with item map priority here, will be able to pick map number 1, starting out on Shark's Wake. That will be followed by Factory Cogwheel Crush, World Tour London Night, and should we go to a track 4 and 5, Glacier Polar Halfpipe and Sphinx's Riddle.
And I really like seeing the bans coming out of Sensation. I feel like it's not very common that we see Village, Clock Tower Crossing getting banned out. A lot of teams prefer to pick that one up as their track number 5, but I like that they're able to admit that they as a team are kind of struggling in Clock Tower Crossing, and they just rather not deal with it.
Yeah, Sensation, just not a fan I see of the village tracks, and also the mine tracks for Team Potential are not a fan of those either. As a lot of fans here this Wednesday. Yeah. More than halfway through the preseason now as we continue to gear up for the postseason, for the playoffs here in KDL Preseason 2. Sensation would love to get another feather in their cap and secure that top 4 position here with a win against Potential as we move on to map number 1 in item mode, Shark's Wake.
We begin our item round number 1. Potential looking to get a win on the board to take us to an ace match here. We're seeing Summer and Banana not getting any items to start with. Now they're picking up Water Wisps.
Yeah, Sensation already with a Thunderbolt as well in the inventory bag is nice. Expect to see Percent hold on to that for the majority of this track, if not all of it here, heading towards the finish line. And Shark's Wake, one of those tracks that we don't see too often here. It's often banned out, one of these newer item mode tracks in the KDL preseason, and it's hard to see exactly why, because, you know, in terms of the way it plays out, it doesn't seem especially different from a lot of the other tracks that we have.
Right.
But just something about this item mode meta with all these attacks coming in, I guess perhaps it's coming here into this finish line that so many teams, perhaps it's hard for them to find a winning formula that's consistent across games.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a great point, Stave, but we know that Sensation, they love first picking it for their item mode track. So hopefully Sensation is able to show us why. We see Hojun picking up a magnet right there. He's going to look to hold on to that because we're in the second lap. Percent, he does pick up a nice lightning, but take a look at the inventory of Potential. There's so many wings.
Yeah, 2 Angel Shields in total right now. Actually, I didn't even see Banana down there in 8th place with 2 more Angel Shields. Yeah, that's a lot.
There's 4.
Yeah, Sensation right now holding on to 2 Thunderbolts themselves. So I want to see whether Summer or Banana decide to swap out any of these Angels. And yeah, Banana will swap out one of them now as we head into lap number 3.
Double Water Bomb.
It's a good Water Bomb, man.
Yeah, definitely going to set back the pace of Sensation quite a bit there. Guard also spinning out of control wave. He does manage to dodge the Water Bomb pretty nicely. He's holding onto a Water Wisp there. He's just going to use it to keep up his lead.
Yeah, and with 2 Thunderbolts now for Team Sensation, I mean, again, the Angel Shields are there for Potential, but you got to think that Sensation might be able to find a window here coming into the final 500 meters. Now we have to see exactly how these Thunderbolts and Angel Shields get used, as well as the Nitrous here coming down into this turn right now, waving the lead. Angel Shield does get popped. Thunderbolts coming through. They are deflected. The Water Wisp connects, and actually Hojun with a ton of speed on the outside, able to come through in an emphatic an emphatic high five with his teammate. And he was pumped up with that victory. Sensation. That one went down to the wire, but they were able to get it.
Banana was positioning himself for a finish there, but he got caught out by the Water Wisp while he was using his Nitrous, and that was so crucial because it bought that room for Hojin to suddenly show up out of nowhere, kick back, wave, and Temin, and that's what ultimately won Sensation their own track of choice.
And for Hojin, if I'm not mistaken, that was the Nitrous that gave him the speed boost that he needed. And we don't really talk about the builds too much here, but Hojin actually running 3.056 in item mode, so a total of 11 points into that Nitrous boost. You could really see that payoff there as he was flying across the finish line.
Yeah, that's a great point. It absolutely made that small difference that ended up giving Hojin that first place. And Sensation starting off with the win on item mode is absolutely what they want, because in speed, they started off losing it. And if they can win even while losing that first track in speed in 3-1 fashion, you have to imagine what it's going to look like in item now. It could be a 3-0 sweep.
Yeah, and this isn't the Sensation of KDL Preseason 1 that excelled in speed and struggled in item mode. They are much more well-rounded here despite keeping another 4-man roster, and we'll see if that continues to pay dividends for them here as we get ready to go into track number 2, Sensation versus Potential. Sensation 2 track wins away from securing a sweep here as we move on to Factory Cogwheel Crush. First time seeing a factory map here in item mode today.
Yep, we're seeing right now Wave. He's sitting all the way in the back. He managed to pick up a missile, which I'm sure that's not what he wanted. He was probably looking for more like a water bomb right there. Banana, he's able to shield that off.
With the barricades. I actually don't see barricades there that very often. It's a really funny little spot you got to weave your way through here as both teams baiting that.
That's a rare scene that we can see here in tracks like Factory.
Look at this. Guard and Joker for Sensation both already have Thunderbolts, and we're only, what, like halfway through? Not even halfway through lap number 1 here on Cogwheel Crush. So they might be starting to save up for a big wombo combo. And, if they can secure that critical 3rd or even a 4th Thunderbolt, God forbid, that would be an insane play here for Sensation, but it seems like they are gunning for that.
I mean, that's exactly the type of itemization that Sensation needs in a 2-lapper track like Factory Cogwheel Crush.
They got
you
a
don't
3rd
have
one.
as much time to gather your items, so if you can secure 3 lightnings in the first lap, you already feel really good to go, and not only that, you're putting a lot of pressure on your opponent, Team Potential right now.
That's crazy that they have 3 lightnings on the field.
And Potential, they are spinning out of control here before they even get struck by the lightning. So you can tell right now alarm bells going off in the head for Team Potential, looking for some angels.
Yeah, they can definitely tell that items aren't being rotated quite as quickly here for Sensation. Although I gotta say, for Sensation, you would have loved to have one racer with 2 of these Thunderbolts. It's just not the way that it shook out. And then you can have, 2 different racers that are setting up to cross that finish line as best they can. Instead, it's probably gonna be Taman right now holding on to double Nitrous. Does use 1 as he wants to try to close the distance here with the upper ranks.
If only item mode played out like a book, right, State?
Yeah.
You want it to go ideally, but sometimes it doesn't, and that's the variance that you have to deal with. So far, it's Summer leading. He does fall behind, but he's holding onto a Nitrous. As long as his teammates can protect him from a lightning, it could be possible for Potential to try to finish it.
Yeah, but I don't see any Angel Shields in the inventories at all here for Team Potential, so we're going to have to see how this one goes. Wave right now, he is the leading racer. He has 1 shield in the back and a water balloon. 500 meters out right now as the Thunderbolts will start to get popped here.
There's 1, there's 2, and there's 3.
So much momentum lost here as Banana with the Magnet was able to close the distance a little bit, but Joker from the outside is able to finish despite the Hail Mary play there by Banana. I mean, Magnet, one of the best items in the game to regain that acceleration and regain that momentum after you get hit with a critical item like a Thunderbolt. So Banana, the item ace here for PO with a correct read, but Sensation just had the ultimate setup in terms of gear there, and they are now up on match point 2-0 here in item mode against Potential. Potential might not get another ace match.
Yeah, we were discussing it during the match. Really, the only hope for Potential there was to find an answer to the triple lightning, but when you're starting off with 0 Angel and you're looking for an answer to a triple lightning, it is pretty hard to get that, and We can see that Sensation off of that was able to secure a 2-0 so far here, and the next track is going to be their own selection, so we could very likely see a 3-0.
It could be. You're looking again at the finish line as all these Thunderbolts are about to pop, and you can see all these individual shields getting used to try and mitigate the damage. And Banana, I love this play from him where he just tried to regain all the momentum that he could. Also a water balloon connecting with a player there from Sensation, but the magnet alone, not enough speed to cross that finish line ahead of Sensation's players. Would have needed a nitrous or something else, but I mean, you can brainstorm about what the perfect combination of items would be, but once you actually get into the game, it is so hard to actually make those things come to fruition. You can't imagine how these things are going to shake out. It's what makes item mode so complicated and so difficult to play. As we head to match point here, track number 3, World Tour London Night, Sensation versus Team Potential.
Sensation looking to close it out cleanly with the 3-0 here in item round 3. As we see Hojin, he does slow down and manage to pick up 2 nitruses. I do like that because Hojin could now use that to propel forward.
Yeah, and since this is a kind of relatively long 3-lapper here, I just want to talk very quickly about the standings and what this means for Sensation. Is if they are able to get a 3-0 win here in item after winning speed mode as well, that's not only going to help them a ton in the round differential part of their standings, but they're going to go up to 3-2 and really solidify their top 4 spot here in the KDL preseason. This might be, if they're able to secure this sweep, their ticket to the postseason. It's certainly going to be a critical part of that story regardless of the outcome. So a lot of pressure here on Sensation. Potential, although they aren't a team that's close to the top of the standings right now, this win for Sensation, it matters a lot.
Absolutely. As we take a look, or took a look, that is, at the face cam of Percent earlier, we were able to see how happy he was. It was smiles all around. And Sensation as a team, they looked really just well composed, knowing that they're about to win a really important match. And so far in the second lap here, they have a great chance as once again, they picked up double lightning. Their opponents do have 3 angels, however.
Yeah, double lightning's good. The Angels should be able to mitigate it should PO decide to hold on to those throughout the rest of this track.
Right now we see Taemin and Banana trying to lead the charge, but they are sitting on Angels and they don't want to cycle that through unnecessarily. So you see Banana kind of falling behind, saying, all right guys, listen up. I'll be the one protecting you guys. You guys use the nitrous and the magnet to try to go for some crazy plays.
And we actually have a lot of different racers holding on to not only nitrous or double nitrous, but nitrous and magnet as well. So the speed coming out of these racers is going to be absolutely insane. Really the only aggressive items that we have right now heading into the latter parts of lap number 3 are these lightning bolts. There's only 1 water wisp and 1 water balloon here for Taemin. And okay, here we go, 400 meters left.
Right, but now it's Percent leading the charge. Sensation coming in as a 3-man army. There was no chance whatsoever for Potential there. Sensation, they managed to clean it out in 3-0. What a dominating win.
Yeah, with having so many nitrous in the bag, there is Sensation. Pretty much everybody on their team ran with either 11 or 12 points into their boost. I mean, Percent, Guard, and Joker all with 2.066. Hojin with a 3.056 build. I mean, that was the perfect setup for them in terms of items. It really played to the strengths of their carts there on track number 3 as Sensation with a very dominating 2-0 sweep over Potential. I mean, Potential, they have been resilient throughout this entire KDL preseason. They have consistently been able to force out ace matches, but Sensation, they say we don't even need to go to an ace match today to secure our win. We got speed, we got item mode, we got a 2-0 sweep, and now we are solidly in 4th place here in the standings.
Yeah, as you said, Stade, they are definitely feeling happy now. They did build a pretty significant lead over their main competitor going to the postseason in Aura. And not only that, they were able to win very convincingly today, 3-1 in speed, 3-0 in item. And I must say, it's a bummer for Potential to go down like this because now this is the first time they weren't able to force an ace match.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bitter loss for Potential. Despite them having a really hard start to the season, you could always see that the games were close. They were able to force out a lot of ace matches, even against very good teams, but Sensation is just looking so strong right now here in KDL Preseason 2. It's no surprise that they are on their path towards a postseason berth should they continue to play like this with a 3-1 win here in speed. 3-0 in item, and just really stunning stuff from them through and through.
Yeah, and one important thing to know here is that Sensation, they've already played against Liiv SANDBOX and Seongnam ROX. So two teams that are really strong contenders for postseason right now. In Aura and Gwangnam Freaks, they are yet to face them. Those will be the next matchups, and it will be really hard to secure a win in such a strong matchup like that. So as we discussed, State, winning against Potential today definitely bought them that breathing room.
Yeah, absolutely. Having both a win ahead of Aura in the standings for 4th and 5th place, and now a very large set differential advantage as well, is going to be huge for them moving on in the standings as we get closer and closer to that postseason, now beyond the halfway point here in the KDL preseason too.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that we always consider really important as we get closer to that postseason mark is the actual form and the teamwork between the teams. Because sure, you might have won like 4-0, let's say, earlier into the season, but if all of a sudden a meta shift happens like an item and all of a sudden you start losing a lot, then it doesn't really matter because your form going into postseason is what matters. And so far, I feel like definitely Sensation is showing up on the stage. They're saying, we are a team that have a better chance than Aura.
Yeah, it feels like their chemistry has improved a ton from KDL Preseason 1 to now Preseason 2. And on top of that, also Hojin, the speed ace. In KDL Preseason 1, you could see that a little bit of rust was still being shaken off. But coming into KDL Preseason 2, I think starting today, he was what, like rank 4th or 5th, or maybe even higher than that overall in team speed average standing. So Sensation just across the board stepping it up. They're better in speed, they're better in item, they're better individually. They're looking like a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, I mean, how can you beat this team? The only time that they went down here so far was up against Seongnam ROX, of course, which is a team absolutely doing phenomenal right now with 0 losses whatsoever. And they took another loss against Liiv SANDBOX, but that was in the ace match against Neil, so you can't really knock too much credit off of them.
No, they're looking very solid. And guys, we're going to go to a short break. When we get back, Seraphic versus Seongnam ROX for the final match of the night. You don't want to miss it. See you in a few minutes.
너 T야. 이거 개웃기더라. 너 T야?
나 T야. 큐티, 프리티. 나
여보세요.
들려요?
내 말 들림?
예.
오케이, 우준이 말도 들립니다.
아니 안 들림. 아니 안 들림.
왜 안 들려요?
아니 안 들린다고.
여보세요?
안 들림.
조병 바보.
물론 번개를 맞았을 때 치명적일 수 있지만 이 트랙 같은 경우는 맨 마지막 피니시라인 직전에 맞으면 오르막길이기 때문에 더 치명적일 수 있습니다.
나 붙을게. 번개 있어.
차 들렸어.
학교 가자. 1등 우실게, 1등. 나도 1등 들어갔지. 나번 챙겨갈게.
챙겨줘.
발이 깔 때 말할게.
깔게.
깔아.
깔았어. 위야 맞아.
네, 저는 완전 바로
괜찮아 얘들아. 괜찮아.
머리
어, 맞아도 돼.
번개 2개야.
오케이.
사진 버릴게.
서버도 체인 라인 체인 떴다.
야, 여름에 장마가 올 수 있습니다 이제.
지금 할게.
하나 사줘. 대기.
날개 있고. 하나 더. 하나 더.
야, 되지. 이제 딴거 이거 깔아줄게.
그러면 어때? 나이스. 와, 팀이 미쳤다.
미안해.
이거 안 밀어도 됐었는데.
미안해.
괜찮아.
미안해. 아.
돌린다. 오. 사빈공.
나나. 그때랑 똑같은 내 것들이네 그냥. 내가 하면 어때? 나한 3위하고 여기서 이기면. 야 마지막으로 한번 믿어줘. 이게 개나지였다. 나 할 거 다 했다.
띵이 주행에 워낙에 강점이 있는 선수이기 때문에 초반에 썸머가 실수하면 안 됩니다.
이제 고평가를 잘 봤던 선수이기 때문에.
천천히 가야 돼요. 어때요? 그냥 뚫어야 돼요. 뚫어야 돼요. 이거 서버가. 이야.
근데 이거 마지막 딜타임이 있습니다 띵에게.
자, 이러면 띵 위쪽으로 갖고 있니까 서버가 바로 돼요.
띵이 그 인코스 한번 틀어막는 데 성공을 해서 경기가 터졌네요.
원투.
김태. 안녕하세요. 김태입니다. 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 센세이션의 문호준입니다.
센세이션 김태요.
좋고요. 가세요.
쇼타임도 2편 하면서 얻은 그 경험치가 있을 거거든요.
특히나 스피드전과 애결 능력치를 좀 성장을 해줘야겠죠.
저기서 꼴찌일 것 같은데.
아이, 뭐 꼴찌만 어때? 너 못하는 거 다 알아.
뭐야? 아니, 3위 3등이 꼴등인가?
꼴찌야.
와, 진짜 꼴등이네. 형, 캐리할게. 아니, 근데 나 초반에 버티다가 어쩔 수 없어.
너 T야. 이거 개웃기더라. 너 T야?
나 T야. 큐티, 프리티.
난 SST.
나 벤지.
이거 너 때문에 이거 방송 못 나감. 진짜 레알.
가게임이 이에 붙어있는 상황에서 플레이를 살짝 날렸어요.
막았어요.
이렇게 앞에서 천천히 와볼게.
과감하게 앞서니.
이러면 뭐 조커가 막 흔들어주면서 원투는 조금 더 멀어집니다.
바꿔놨다.
나 왼쪽 막았어.
살바 살짝.
자, 나머지 순위도 쉽지 않네요. 이렇게 원투로 들어올 때
야무졌다.
와, 뒤로 개빠른데?
내 주행. 내거 뺏어. 내 주행.
근데 은정이랑
내 주행 어땠어? 야, 너 레코드일걸?
자, 어떤 전략으로 가져갈지 우선 하나 등장했어요.
일단 안다 이거.
번개 있어. 3파였어.
나
왼쪽
왼쪽
돌면서 사이드 좀.
바량아 뭐.
나 앞에
다리 실드했다. 다리에서 하고 지훈아 나 빨고 재빨하자.
오케이.
불 간다. 야 먼저 할게 이거.
네, 먼저 하세요.
나 빨렸어 해지. 경계 맞는다. 너무 늦어.
오케이.
빨아봐.
기다려봐. 늦게.
해봐.
머리 할 거야.
맞아, 아파졌어.
난 이거 못 가거든. 앞에서
발이 하나 빨리. 일단 빨았다.
2등 팔이 줬어 그러면. 2등 줬어 따르면. 어때? 유영아 어때?
나이스.
일부러 2등 팔이 줬어. 나 1등 빨았다 해서.
나이스. 그거 개재밌어.
나 1등 잡을 수 있어. 팔이 줬어. 여기라고.
요.
시끄러워.
아 누구야 소리 지르는 거? 홍성민. 정민아 좀. 아 여기서 계속 소리 지를 거야? 미안. 야 홍성민. 너 뺏어 먹냐? 야 부모님 오셨대. 뭐라 하지 마. 오케이. 우리 살아야 돼 오늘은. 아 오케이. 한분이 살려.
지금부터 달려보시죠.
어디 내가 밀게.
제가 습관적으로 가끔 거짓말을 해요.
오디오 이슈로 잠깐만 말해봐. 한 명만. 말해봐. 안 들려. 김다원 바보 멍청이 똥개. 안 들려. 맞아. 손들어. 야, 네 잘못이니까 빨리 사과해. 카메라 대고. 화이팅 합시다, 여러분. 빨리 하나요. 실세도 될 테니까 편하게 하자. 우리 들어갔다. 들어갔다. 고정. 알았어? 뜯을까? 오, 너 떴다, 이거? 괜찮아? 우리 힙할 수도 있어? 막아놨어. 가봐.
한 명의 선수가 아래쪽으로 떨어진 상황이기 때문에 어차피 이제는 상체 싸움이다라는 생각 갖고 있어야겠고요.
끝까지. 한명 튕겨나와. 1등 고정이다. 이거 잡아보자. 가봐. 나 뭐야지, 정빈아? 한번 해봐. 스탑했어. 그냥 가봐. 나 8등이야. 한번 봐봐.
뒤로 스탑했는데 과연
여기서 코리 들어옵니다.
야! 해봐갖고. 나이스. 한번 돌렸다. 일단 작업이야. 하나. 돌렸어. 나 갈게. 얘 멀어.
싸워 봐야 돼.
봐봐. 봤어. 3. 하나, 뒤에 작업이야. 오질 해야 돼. 박았다. 까비.
야, 진짜 캐리.
와, 재현이 형 지렸다.
나이스. 잠깐만.
쭉 들어가야겠죠. 과연
마지막 1등 안될 듯 1등 그리고
다행이다.
현재까지는 양팀 모두 다 스피드전과 아이템전 픽한 트랙은 다 가져오고 있습니다. 굉장히 또 재밌는 상황이네요.
나중에 가봐. 맞아. 여기 템 하나 더 먹어. 나 밀지 마. 나 옷 돌리고. 헬스 하나 빼볼게. 이거 챙겼어. 얘네 LG 없다. 이거 있음. 이거 내가 자석 깔아줄게. 잠깐만. 하면 날라할 수 있어?
일단 사이가 날라와.
나 팔이었다. 어쩌서 안 깔게.
누가?
그냥 내가 날라와줄까 이러면?
날라와줘.
잠깐만. 나야? 그냥 빨리만 가지마. 사이드 가능해? 둘 번개할게. 나 아웃으로 뺄게. 3인. 맞아, 다 맞아. 미사일. 맞았거든, 얘.
떼매졌어.
우주까지. 가능?
우주.
나이스! 낙태모드 나왔어.
나도 나왔어. 내거 미사일까지 맞아버렸어. 아깝다.
내가 빨려가 되지 않고요. 찬스 없었는데 잘 이겼다.
얘네 쨘바닥에 빠는데 바로 쏴버렸어.
Welcome back to the KDL as we get ready to start the final match of the night, Seraphic versus Seongnam ROX.
Yep, this is going to be a very exciting matchup here. We kept mentioning Seongnam ROX as the undefeated team, but on the other side, Seraphic is a team that's looking for their first win today.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mismatch in that regard. Seraphic right now 0-4 overall in matches with a -16 round differential. Seongnam ROX, as of yet, undefeated 4-0, plus 11 round differential. I mean, it doesn't get more lopsided than this, but you know, we have been surprised before here in the KDL as Minchik, speed ace on this team, would love to lead his teammates to glory here and what would be the upset of the season, beating Seongnam ROX if they're able to do it.
Yeah, Seongnam ROX, this is a team that has only changed their roster slightly. They brought in Ding, and ever since that decision, they have been shining ever so brightly here in Preseason 2. It was mostly about Jung's ace match in Preseason 1, but now it's all about the team being good at every single game mode in Kart Rider Drift.
Yeah, they're much better all around than they were in KDL Preseason 1. They no longer need to rely on that ace match. Jung, the specialist, and Ding, I gotta say, he might be the runner on this team, but he could be the speed ace on almost any team with the way that he's performing so far in this season. Now, we talk a little bit about, you know, the ranks, the individual ranks for racers in speed mode, which is, you know, what position they typically find themselves in at the end of any speed mode track. And Ding is a god amongst men in this regard, in that he averages second place across every single speed track played this season. Just absolutely phenomenal. We'll talk more about that as we get to look at ROX in a moment, whereas Seraphic, winless in speed matches, what is going to be their final strategy to secure a spot in the postseason?
You were putting a lot of emphasis in the average rank in speed, and for Seraphic, they've been struggling to find a good position amongst that. However, they do have a highest amount of attacks per minute out of all the teams here in KDL. So that's good, but...
Ding is so cute.
Well,
some next level trash talk. We're entering a new meta here, Peter.
I think that does apply mental damage. You know, if my friends and I were competing and they're like, oh, this guy is cute, and I would feel like instantly that's sarcasm at its fullest.
Yeah? It would get under your skin? Is that okay? Next time I game with you, I'm just gonna start calling you cute anytime you're meeting me. Swing the momentum in my favor. But yeah, Ding right now, I mean, is so good. Average placement of second across, again, literally every team speed match that he's played this season. Phenomenal stuff. They're looking to extend to a 4-win streak. Wait, extend beyond a 4-win streak, I think, clinching victories after close battles in each match. As right now they are already up 4-0 on the league with only 3 matches left to be played. I mean, they might go perfect here in the regular season.
Yeah, Seongnam ROX having a lot of confidence, just saying, let's make a clean sweep, fighting. So they're basically saying that, yeah, we as ROX are going to get the clean sweep and continue our all-win record here. So not much of a, we could say like a fighting to their opponent today, but
no, it's
no
them.
surprise.
It's the self-fighting.
Yeah.
Cheering themselves on.
Yeah, because for Seongnam ROX, they do have a 100% set win rate in speed right now, and overall 66% win rate per rounds themselves. So absolutely coming in with a dominating scoreline. They definitely want to be winning speed against Seraphic today, which is why they took that speed priority.
Yeah, ROX Esports taking speed priority here, choosing Desert Construction Chaos as track number 1. WKC Brazil Circuit will be track number 2, and following that, Glacier Extreme Stadium, Factory Facility 5, and Village Boom Hill Tunnel. As, I mean, you said it, as of yet, undefeated in sets so far here in speed, and with a 67% win rate in rounds as well. I mean, ROX just really coming through in the clutch, because even Liiv SANDBOX, who coming into today had an 86% round win rate in speed, they still lost a set. ROX hasn't lost a set.
Yeah. And we're seeing a very common ban strategy coming out of Seraphic. This is utilized by a lot of amateur teams against professional teams or just really strong teams that are showing dominance in speed, is to take out that World Tour Terracotta Twister as well as the Zigzag Timberland, because a lot of the pro teams have practiced exclusively on these tracks.
I mean, they're the most difficult speed tracks that I think that we have here at the KDL Preseason 2. So a smart move by Seraphic to ban them out, not let ROX flex their muscles on those 2 tracks, and we'll see how that strategy works for them as we get ready to go to track number 1, Desert Construction Chaos.
We kick off our speed round number 1 in ROX's choice of track. It is going to be a 2-lapper. As we take a look at the positions, ROX, they do have a pretty solid handle on the top 4.
Yeah, Jung, anytime you see him contesting first place, you're going to be pretty happy here as ROX is. It is actually a 3v1 here with Minchik, the speed ace for SRP, fighting for his dear life. Now, Ding, off to a bit of a slower start than we would expect from him, all the way down in 7th place. Keep in mind, that is the average first place finisher here.
Yeah, that opens up new opportunities for Ding now. He needs to just kind of go for sweeping at this point. He is making sure to keep Promise behind. He just needs to catch up to Mari and Scarlet. You have to keep in mind, however, that this is a track where there's going to be a lot of catch-up happening around these tricky corners.
Yeah, especially, and you can see Ding already working his way back into 6th place, as I would expect to see him, close the distance even more here, as he is one of the best racers at navigating these difficult tight angles in the uphill section of Desert Construction Chaos. And meanwhile, Jung doing a great job of solidifying his position here in first place. On the straightaway, you can really see the distance that he has built between himself and the 2nd place racer Minchik.
Absolutely, you can see the 1-3-4 that ROX has built for themselves in the beginning, still being the case here in lap number 2. Now it's spelled down in 8th place, but it doesn't really matter because Dutzy is playing defense excellently. Ding and Jung buying a lot of time to maintain at least the 1-3.
And since I called Ding out for being in 7th place. He has worked his way up to 2nd here, and that was like half of a lap of distance. And look at the sweeping that he's doing too, the body blocking here from against Scarlet, against Minchik. He's not even playing to get into position number 1 up there with Jung. He's trying to just give Jung as much breathing room as he has. And I guess now that the cavalry is coming in with Seraphic and Scarlet, Minchik, and Mari in 3, 4, 5 spots, now Ding is deciding, okay, I'm going to make a little bit more of a breakaway. There's too many people here. Ooh, yeah, that was a bad collision there for SRP.
Yeah, right now it's really hard for Seraphic to try to get their grasp back in control as Dutzy, he's doing all he can to distract Minchik to prevent breaking that 1-2 from ROX.
Yeah, I mean, the 1-2 was assured, but still, Dutzy flexing a little bit there with a nice, long New York City tour bus. Just blocking Mari and Minchik at every turn is Seongnam ROX. Ding and Jong, 1st place and 2nd place. I imagine this is something that we will see from them throughout the rest of the KDL. As these two guys are among the best in the business here in speed mode, and that was about as convincing a win as they come.
Yeah.
Almost a full second ahead of Mari was Ding in this track. I mean, wow.
That is why Seongnam ROX is one of our most highlighted teams so far as speed mode goes. Not only that, as a team, their teamwork has been coming together. You can see the smile on Ding's face here. Absolutely happy with this team's performance.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be happy with it. For track number 1, they were firing in all cylinders, and especially Ding coming back from 7th place to finish in either 1st or 2nd there by the end of things was just so impressive, because it can be difficult for a lot of racers to really close the distance on that difficult uphill portion, but he's just so good at finding the perfect line, at avoiding collisions, at avoiding, allowing the other team to sweep him. And he was able to work his way all the way up to those top 2 positions, and that's a critical part of why ROX has been such a force to be reckoned with here in KDL Preseason 2. Let's see if they can continue it on as we get ready to move to track number 2 here in speed mode. Seraphic versus ROX Esports on WKC Brazil circuit. And off we go on the streets of Brazil. Seongnam ROX already up 1-0, Ding off to an excellent start again here.
Yeah, absolutely. ROX is killing it right now with their positions. Jong, all the way in the back, he's just going to catch up and play sweeping real quickly. But one very good news for Seraphic right now is that Minchik and Mari, they are putting a lot of pressure on the top 4, and their teammates are providing support.
Yeah, Scarlet's right there with him too. So this is a lot of men on deck here to try and control the forces of ROX Esports and not really allow Ding to break away with this one as well as he and Jung did on the previous track. I mean, that's got to be the game plan here for Seraphic, is now it's just really Mari and Minchik battling against these two. Okay, Scarlet now finally coming in on the flank, but the sweeping, it just hasn't really been able to connect yet.
Yeah, Ding and Dutzy maintaining that 1-2 really nicely, and if they fall behind, Jung is right there to pick up the pace. He manages to block out Mari a bit as well there. Now, you can see once again, no matter how many turns you take, it's ROX constantly there with the 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, Ding's build is so good on this track, and pretty much every other track right now is the Speed Ace Minchik is trying to give him a run for his money, able to break away into 1st place, at least for a moment here. So we'll see Ding make a play to take that one back.
Absolutely. Minchik, he's still applying enough pressure to actually now take away that 1st place, but the problem is, Seraphic as a team, they are falling behind. They need to buy time for Mari and Promise to catch up.
Yeah, and that 8th place now is basically a lock with Promise having a bad collision on the tires there, so Seraphic is going to have to make up a lot of points here in the mid-range, and 1st place, it feels like it might be a necessity here unless they can wing out a 2-3-4, but it doesn't feel like Jong, Dutzy, or Spell are going to allow that to happen, let alone Ding who's sitting at 6th place, but is definitely going to try and make a play to move up the ranks.
This is looking really tough right now for Seraphic State. You can see Spell coming in with a really nice tight line there. Now he's just going to be playing sweeper to apply pressure to the 3-4 from Seraphic. 1-2 seems to be the strategy for ROX, and they are going to run away with a 1-2-3-4.
1-2-3-4, Jong, Ding, Dutzy, and Spell just dominating the field on that one as Seraphic, I mean, they can never really work their way up to the 2-3-4 that they needed there, with Promise falling all the way back to 8th place after hitting those tires at the start of, I think, lap number 2. And I mean, that's a difficult position to be in. And now ROX up 2-0 on match point in what feels like the blink of an eye. And Dutzy even beating Luding's old record here on Brazil's circuit. Just a fraction of a second ahead of him now. Still haven't broken that 158 mark, but still phenomenal performance. Dutzy with the new record.
Yeah, I give a lot of credit to Seraphic still here on Brazil circuit because they were able to keep up with ROX in terms of pace for lap 1 and 2. It's just 3 where it really all fell apart. And I feel like for a lot of the amateur teams, the problem is every team basically has at least one runner in the front. It's the support that's lacking, but Seraphic, they did have it for the most part. But when it came to these collisions, that's what broke down their support.
Yeah, that collision with Promise there on the final lap just put so much extra pressure here because now you know that you're not getting really any points from the lower ranking players on your team. You have to make a play to make something happen, but ROX Esports was just so strong in that 1-2 position that, you know, SRP, they tried to make a play because it's really your only chance there, and it ends up with ROX actually running away with a 1-2-3-4.
Yeah, I mean, both teams are absolutely trying to win speed right now, but it's ROX leading 2-0 as we get ready to move into round number 3, Glacier Extreme Stadium. ROX looking to close it off on their own track of choice here in Speed Round 3 as we take a look at Seraphic having a pretty good position for a while there.
Yeah, this is one of their better starts that they've had so far right now with Scarlet rolling on to first place. Minchik and Mari right behind him there. Now it's actually a 3v1, but Jung doing the best that he can to run away with this thing and not let the body blocks really, you know, become an issue. But keep in mind, 2-3-4, that is a win condition. So Seraphic, if they're able to consolidate, take that position back away from Ding, and hold on to it for the rest of the track, that's a winning formula for sure. But ROX is doing such a good job, especially Spell here, on closing the distance and really causing problems.
Yeah, absolutely. ROX definitely has a support up their caliber right now, but if you take a look at Seraphic, they are actually holding on pretty nicely with the 2-3. If Promise and Minsick can move up to at least the 5th position, kick out Dutzy, that is what they're looking for.
Yeah, we'll see if they're able to make that happen. As it is, Spell and Dutzy still trying their best to actually break through Mari and Scarlet here as we enter lap number 2. Jung still comfortably in first place, but Spell would really like to reinforce that here with the 1-2, and he does. Passing Mari, actually going in for the sweep, but misses it there, so he will fall back behind not just Mari, but also Scarlet.
Yeah, that is definitely going to set behind ROX a bit, especially with Dutzy and Ding trapped right now in 7-8. Promise and Minsick doing a great job there, applying a lot of pressure as we can see Spell. He wants to retake the 1-2, but Mari is not making it easy.
No, Mari's doing his best in that tour bus to try and body block him out. I mean, it's one of the best carts in the business for doing it here, coming into the final hairpin turns. But, I mean, even with the standings as they are right now, it is a win condition here for ROX. They just want to fortify it even more at the top ranks, and Spell on these hairpins, able to pass Mari.
Yeah, Mari, he's applying a lot of pressure right now to Spell, but he did fall behind. And ROX, they're looking to run away with this with the 1-2 carry, despite a 7-8 finish for their remaining teammates.
Yeah, I mean, that's about as good as it gets there for ROX Esports. SRP was able to fight back with a 2-4-5-6. Their midfield was so strong, but with Spell passing through and taking that second place position, it was a victory for ROX Esports as they continue to reign supreme here in speed mode. The only undefeated team so far here in the KDL Preseason 2. Jung once again with a first place finish as, I mean, this team is just absolutely so solid for Seraphic. You guys have to move down to item mode to try to stop them, but it is the ROX show.
Yeah, I love that Spell was able to step up here and be that key support for Jung in this match, because it was Ding who was struggling to keep up this time around in Glacier Extreme Stadium. But when you have a star-studded lineup and every player can step up to the plate when it's needed, you can see drastic match results like this where your team would have lost if not for that 1-2.
Yeah, Mari will now be swapped out for the item specialist Snoopy on Team Seraphic. ROX as well will likely be swapping in Plansy, if I'm not mistaken, here as we move on to item modes, just kind of shore up their roster. And so it's a scary proposition here for Seraphic because you're not going against a pro team that is struggling here. It's just poking the cheeks of Plansy.
We've seen this trend before.
Yeah, the poking, man. I don't know. It's before it was nose poking, now it's cheek poking. I can't keep up with this new meta. But back to the point that I was making before, where a lot of these pro teams, they're of course, excelling in speed mode, but with a meta shift here in KDL Preseason 2 to a more aggressive and frankly kind of complicated and chaotic item mode set, it's been difficult for the pros, but ROX Esports, they've been doing a great job of handling it.
Yeah, and we can see Seraphic here following the strategy we can say that was demonstrated by Sensation earlier today, taking Glacier Shark's Wake first, and then followed by Sphinx's Riddle and Mother Lode. So there's an interesting combination of tracks there, whereas ROX, they did choose to go for the Cogwheel Crush, not being afraid of the factory tracks. I do think that spells volumes about ROX as a team in item mode as far as their strategy goes. And of course, London Knight also being a track where I feel like usually teams want to shy away from it due to all the volatility, but ROX, they feel like they have a handle on it.
Yeah, London Knight in the previous season meta felt one of the more straightforward tracks that we had because, it was all about the magnets, it was all about the nitrous. The attacks truly didn't matter that much, especially because Angel Shield was just so good, right? But now here in KDL Preseason 2, London Knight suddenly it becomes very interesting, it becomes very dynamic, especially in the finishing track. So for ROX Esports to have the confidence not just to pick a factory track, but also London Knight as their map choices, it just shows how strong they feel right now in item mode, and for good reason, frankly, because they're above 60% win rate in rounds overall in item mode, and we'll see if they can continue on and build on that record, looking for a 2-0 sweep here after winning speed mode against Seraphic. As we move on to track 1 in item mode, it will be Glacier Shark's Wake.
We begin our item round 1 between Seongnam ROX and Seraphic. This is a 3-lapper track, and I feel like a strategy that we've seen demonstrated earlier today here in Shark's Wake State is there's been a lot of emphasis on water bombs and water wisps.
Yeah, which is kind of surprising because looking at how wide some of these sections get, you would think that water bombs aren't the best at getting connections, but players have been able to find them. I mean, they're pros for a reason, right?
Yeah.
And worth noting, by the way, Seraphic Minchik, the first player to pick up a Lightning here in this lobby, sitting down in 6th place. He will definitely be holding on to that one all the way through these next 3 laps as Seraphic starts to look to build the combination that they want that can lead to a victory.
So far, it's ROX having 2 Angels in their arsenal. Seraphic, they just picked up 3 Lightning.
They got 2 more?
1 Lightning there, but then they just got 2 Lightning off of that 1 treasure chest grab.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Oftentimes we'll see them slowly, incrementally build up these items, but Seraphic actually getting 2 more Lightnings out of those treasure chests is something absolutely wild. They're going to be very content moving on with that all the way into lap number 3 because now they know they have this in their back pocket. They can start to form a game plan around this.
Yeah, and right now you can absolutely see that ROX, they are pressured by that because they are now holding on to their 2 Angels, looking to pick up more because now we are in lap 3, and as we get closer to the final 500 meters, these items will come out in combustion.
Yeah, 2 Angels on the field here for ROX. Stutzi and Jung both holding on to 1, and it's a dangerous position as that water balloon barely missing the item ace. Clancy here as it looks like ROX, you're not leading more into the attacks. They just kind of have to play the hand that they've been dealt. It's mostly going to be nitrous. It's going to be magnets and nitrous for them in the top.
You see UFO slowing down Clancy there, but actually Scarlet, he was spinning out of control and stayed. I'm seeing the clouds forming in the sky. It's coming.
Yeah, Zeus is starting to strike these gamers down as the first 2 Angel Shields deflect those, but
whoa!
I mean, there's just so much power here for Seraphic as the 3rd Lightning comes in. All the momentum lost there for ROX Esports as they just cannot hold on. And Snoopy, the 1st place finish.
Those murky clouds, State. When you see them coming, you kind of know your own fate right there. Your acceleration pedal, it stops working.
Absolutely. I mean, you just lose all momentum, especially in those final moments. It's a killer too. I mean, 2 Lightning is strong enough already, but you add a 3rd one on top of it. So your opponent really gonna have 3 Angel Shields ready to deflect all of that, and also any other attacks that you have coming at them? I don't think so.
Well, that's why we're seeing a lot of these offensive items really shining here in Preseason 2 so far. And teams who are able to synchronize those attacks together to bait out the Angel perhaps preemptively have been finding a lot of success.
I love it. He's just like, He's like, really, man? And he holds up 3 fingers. Like, you guys had 3 of them? You guys had 3 lightnings? Like 2 we can manage, but 3? I love that frustration.
Well, we're all thinking the same thing right now,
Yeah.
State. We're on the same page, the casters, the players, the viewers, but now we are ready for our item round number 2. It is a track picked by ROX themselves in Factory Cogwheel Crush.
And off we go on Cogwheel Crush. We'll see who the item gods decide to favor on this one. No lightning bolts picked up just yet. As again, it was crazy that Seraphic was able to pick up 2 lightning bolts from the same set of treasure chests. And I think on lap number 2 as well, and is really able to form a game plan around that, as ROX just did not have an answer. As it is, no lightning bolts on the field just yet. Just players kind of exchanging hands. We have some UFOs popping, a lot of rockets going through, some water balloons in the bag as well. But nothing too high power.
Jung, he does spin out of control there, but it doesn't really matter because he's still in 2nd place. We're in the 1st lap of 2 currently. There are no lightning or angel to be found. It is mostly going to be exchanges of water wisps and missiles.
And Minchik does pick up the first lightning there on the field, so that's the first long-term item that we really have here in the utility belts, as no angel shields even have been picked up by either team.
Absolutely. Right now we can see the players of ROX, they opted to not take the shortcut, but there was no opening for that one, but they are still firmly in the lead here as we see double magnet in the front line, but there's also double magnet for Seraphic as well. So it's going to be interesting to see if the players hold on to that item.
Yeah, holding on to a magnet is an interesting choice because oftentimes we'll see players either use a magnet or a nitrous if they're sitting back, you know, in position 6, 7, or 8, because you want to be in position to actually strike for that finish line and be a threat so that, you know, you can share some aggro with your teammate. Front lines ready to go towards that finish line, the better.
Yeah, I like the skills displayed by Ding there, going for body blocking and then shielding out a really clutch attack there. Now Ding, he's going to get targeted out by the missile. It's up to Dutsy now to keep up the lead.
Well, Seraphic once again has 3 lightnings. Oh my goodness. And by the way, the Roomba in the middle of that thing is just causing so much trouble for all these racers. I don't know exactly who got caught up. I think it might have been Jung and Dutsy there who got bogged down. But these 3 lightnings are going to be so clutch here. Not a single angel shield to be found as we're all going through the boost here. 500 meters left to go. Watch those lightnings start to pop now as the first one comes through. And I mean, there's going to be no momentum here for ROX whatsoever. Even Promise right now in first place has another lightning. They don't even need it. They just popped 2 of them, and they're like, yeah, that's enough. We don't need 3. We don't want to make them feel too salty.
Seraphic is so good at the lightnings that, as you said, State, they don't even need to use the last one. That really just shows how well focused they were in the final moments there, synchronizing a lot of their offensive options in order to make it hard for their opponent to block them out with shields and angels. And it was quite a significant lead there. We can see his Promise. He came in with a 2-second advantage compared to his opponent, Dutsy.
Yeah, and so Seraphic now winning another track here in item mode, up 2-0 over ROX. And you can see them smiling a little bit about that, as I feel like ROX has been maybe a little bit unlucky with the draws here. I mean, of course, there always is some chaos here in item mode, but when your first 2 tracks go like this, it can be frustrating here for ROX because you really have to come up with a perfect formula to mount a defense against this. And going back to that shield and spear analogies you made, I mean, the defense was not here for ROX. They had almost no angel shields, and there's so much momentum from Seraphic that even the missile here on Promise just can't slow him down.
Yeah, the top 2 players of Roxer, they got targeted by the missile and they were spinning out of control. And on top of that, right when they're about to recover, the lightning bolts came in, and at that point, there was really no stopping the dash coming out of Seraphic to the finish line. And right now, we have Seraphic firmly in the lead, looking to close it out. On round number 3, the track will be Desert Sphinx's Riddle.
All right, here we go on Desert Sphinx's Riddle. Seraphic on match point, 1 track away from sweeping item mode here against the undefeated Seongnam ROX and forcing an ace match. And look again, Peter already has a lightning in the inventory. I mean, Seraphic, they must have been praying to the item gods before this one because it feels like everything is going their way.
Yeah, but ROX, they do have plenty of time to pick up some Angels because this is going to be a 3-lapper. So as we take a look at the inventory right now, it's mostly water bombs and barricades. They're going to get quickly cycled through.
Snoopy just picked up his second lightning bolt. So
goodness.
Snoopy, he's pretty much done cycling through items for the rest of this track, more or less. It's just going to be his job to try and eat some aggro for his teammates, which is nice because he's already in 3rd place. So he should be able to be targeted by, some rockets, some water wisps, some water balloons. And the truth is that for him holding on to double lightning, he's not really going to be the guy that's going to cross the finish line here for Seraphic, right? Now they can form a game plan around having those 2 lightning bolts, and it's like, okay, let's maybe get 1 angel shield in the cards. Let's get some nitrous. Let's try and set up to make a really big push once we get to lap number 3.
Absolutely, and of all the players you can give double lightning to, you gave it to the brain of Seraphic, the item ace himself. So it's going to be interesting to see how that strategy is utilized. We can see Promise. He does take a huge setback, but it's okay because Scarlet is in the front right now. He's got that boost. He's going to utilize it to catch up to Plansy.
Yeah, and although Snoopy does have those 2 lightnings, one thing that is favorable here for ROX is, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they actually have 3 angel shields in the fold. So they do have some counterplay here to these attacks that are going to be coming from Seraphic here on lap number 3 as we get closer and closer to that finish line. And now I'm watching the item inventories to get a look at really who's holding on to all these nitruses because, Minshik, Ding, Dutzy, they're all starting to stack them up, especially Minshik there with the magnet as well. It could be a dangerous situation, Peter.
Yeah, Scarlet is going to get targeted by the UFO and get slowed down. Here comes the lightning, but the Angel is there for the response. Minzik trying to go for the pass, but Ding does manage to solidify the second place 1 finish.
Yeah, finally ROX with an answer to the lightning as, they had enough angel shields. You could see them almost in disbelief there. It's like, man, we got lightning again, but at least we were able to come through the win as finally the counterplay. The plan was there, 3 angel shields, it was enough. And a lot of laps right here. It was a fun track there for ROX, and this is something that can happen is, there is a downside to picking up 2 lightnings there for Snoopy is, you get them so early and suddenly you're not picking up any more items literally the rest of the track because you want to hold on to those until the finish line, right? So you're not cycling through, you're not getting more missiles, you're not getting any angel shields, you're not getting any support items to help your teammates. You're not going to be a threat going across that finish line. Your one role, the one thing you're going to do is pop 2 lightnings at the end, and for the whole mid game, you're not supporting your team, right? So for ROX, the fact that they were able to get enough angel shields to actually mitigate those lightnings coming out of Snoopy means that they were able to ride the tempo that they gained from the mid game into a victory. And now, Peter, we truly have a match as it's 2-1. Still a match point in favor of Seraphic, but ROX looking to mount a comeback here as we move on to round number 4, World Tour London night.
Off we go into item round number 4. This is match point still for Seraphic. If they win here in round 4, we are going to an ace match.
Yeah, I would love to see it. ROX has just been so good overall that we haven't really been treated by watching them play in ace matches so far here in KDL Preseason 2, right? Those were pretty much all used up in Preseason 1.
Yeah, so far definitely it's been the case. So we would like to see the ace match potentially happening, but of course they need to first beat ROX here in London Night, as so far the item inventories are showing no signs of any lightning or angel. It's mostly about boosts, so players are trying to just get past each other.
And usually we don't talk about lightnings and angel shields too much, but really just the meta today in particular feels like most of these tracks have been, lined up.
Yeah,
specifically
double angel
on this.
now.
Yeah, Jung with double angel. I wouldn't be surprised if he cycled one out, but now that I'm thinking about it, if you're ROX right now and you don't have a Thunderbolt, what are you thinking after the past 3 tracks where Seraphic, I think every single time had at least 2 lightnings? You're thinking that they have 1 or 2 in the bag already, right? You gotta be paranoid about that as ROX. So I'm not surprised to see Jung coming through all these extra item chests and being like, no, I'm happy, I'm gonna keep the 2 angels, I just wanna play it safe. But we can see as observers, there are no lightnings on the field here for Seraphic just yet.
But as you mentioned, the downside to holding 2 items the whole way through is that you're sacrificing a lot of other potential of different items you could have utilized. But now we're seeing the positions here, Seraphic kind of running away with their 1-2. You can see Promise trying to buy room for Scarlet to not get caught out.
Yep, and Scarlet right now just cycling through that Magnet and Shield. Come here on lap number 3.
Scarlet's gone right now. Plansy, he needs to try to find him, but it's looking like Scarlet. Oh, wow, that actually helped Plansy.
Yeah, Plansy actually is able to work his way up, so if you'll be able to close the distance here with Scarlet a little bit. I'm worried though because there isn't much more defense here for Plansy. Angel Shield gets popped, but the Magnet is slowing him down, and now it's a actually very slow race down to the finish line, and Plansy, a one-man army almost, able to cross the finish line first as the Angel Shields were just enough. I mean, they popped right in time to defend Plansy from those critical attacks at that final junction of the map. And he finishes in first place. Seongnam ROX ties it up 2-2. We're gonna go to a map number 5 here in item mode.
I love your choice of words there, Stay. One-man army describes Plansy perfectly there. He was slowed down by a Magnet, but Plansy didn't care. He stayed focused, and he went through the finish line in style.
Great win here for ROX, fighting back and trying to make the reverse sweep real. I mean, ROX, they've been looking so good in item mode. Again, coming into today, a 61% win rate overall, so it was a surprise to see them go down 0-2. But now that we're tied up, man, they might be getting another set win.
This was huge for Plansy being able to still get up on the top portion of the map.
If he didn't get this boost and he didn't get that shortcut and that Angel Shield didn't dodge the Wisp, I mean, it could have been a nightmare for Plansy, but instead he just had enough momentum to actually cross that finish line first and also absorb all the aggro there for his teammates. So just some great play there from ROX. Critical timing on that jump, getting into the shortcut.
Now that we're tied here 2-2 and on round 5, the pressure is really starting to build. The one thing going for Seraphic is that this track has been chosen by them. So let's see if Seraphic can continue to take a win here to give us an ace match in Mine Mother Lode.
Final track of item mode here today. Round 5, Seraphic versus Seongnam ROX tied up 2-2. If Seraphic's able to win this one, they will take item mode and force an ace match. If ROX wins, they continue on their undefeated record here in the KDL Preseason 2.
So far, we're seeing shields being utilized by the top 2 players, which is kind of like the standard strategy we've seen when we first started Preseason 2. It's all about absorbing aggro for your teammates in the beginning and buying time for the teammates in the back to pick up more useful items.
There's so many EMPs actually on the side of ROX right now. Dutzy and Zing, if I'm not mistaken, they might have actually had 4 for a moment now, but actually going to cycle all of those out, dodging some attacks. And the first lightnings are coming into play. Once again, Seraphic picking up all the lightning bolts here, both Promise and Scarlet with 1 apiece.
Yeah, right now ROX is just running away with their positions here, 1, 2, 3. But Ninsik does pick up a Magnet, so he's going to be able to catch up with ease. Double lightning on the side of Seraphic. There's 1 Angel as a response for ROX currently.
Yeah, only 1 Angel here for ROX. They would love to pick up a couple more of those. It's actually, ooh, that got cycled out there. I'm surprised
the lightning also.
I'm surprised they used it, but I guess, I mean, you're still trading it with a lightning, right? So that's about as good as it's going to get. Plansy has another Angel Shield in the bag. But Seraphic just continuing with a lightning, and they get another one.
Yeah, they just picked up another one right there. So ROX, they're scratching their heads right now, looking for a response to all the offensive items coming from Seraphic soon.
Yeah, Plansy right now, he still does have that 1 Angel Shield, but they would love to pick up at least 1 more.
See Snoopy, he's holding on to a Nitrous there. Minsik has a Magnet as well. They're definitely going to hold on to those items because those are some key items that you can use to upset the match in lap 3.
Yeah, especially here for Ding as well. I mean, yeah, you do see him use that Nitrous to try and build a little bit more distance here. But with a Magnet and a Shield, he wants to hold on to at least that Magnet and just use a Shield to deflect any attacks that might come his way here from Minsik in lap number 3. But it is a scary situation here. Luckily for ROX, they do have double Angel Shield to mitigate the attack from those 2 Thunderbolts. And ooh, Jung picks up another Angel. So actually, ROX Esports now quite safe. And with 3 players doing quite well heading towards the finish line, this is looking good for them.
Promise opted for the item box there. I'm not sure if that's the right play because now ROX is pretty far in the lead. Jung, he does get stopped by the Magnet. Now it's Ding versus Minsik, and Minsik wins the duel.
Minshik wins the duel, I think with a magnet there, as we only caught the tail end of that exchange, but he passes Ding by a hair. And Seraphic able to come through and prevent the reverse sweep. They were up 2-0. ROX Esports was able to come back to 2-2, but Seraphic now, with a set win in item mode, will force an ace match against ROX Esports and put ROX's undefeated record in jeopardy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, as you said, if Seraphic wins the ace match, then it certainly would be in jeopardy. ROX, this is the second time that they're now dropping the item set. Before it was against Potential going 2-3, and today it is the same story. So now, it's always exciting when you look at Seongnam ROX and their backs are against the wall, and it's an ace match to determine it. In the previous season, it was Jung stepping up to the plate. This season, it was Ding. So ROX does have plenty of arsenal here to choose from.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to make the call here for ROX, right? Because, you know, I would think that going into an ace match here from preseason 1, it's no-brainer. It's going to be Jung. That guy went undefeated. He basically carried your team on the back to the playoffs. But now, in preseason 2, Ding is racing so well, the new addition to this team. His average placing coming into today in team match speed was 2nd place. The next best racer doesn't even average 3rd. I mean, that is an insane differential there, just absolutely dominant so far. So you can see this is actually a pretty interesting discussion with a coach, and primarily Ding and Jung, in terms of, okay, who really is going to give us the best chance of holding on to this? Because not only do we want to remain undefeated, we want to secure that #1 seed coming into the postseason. And if we drop this game to an amateur team, that could be in jeopardy.
Yeah, and one scary thing about Seraphic is that they're kind of unpredictable in the sense that they played 2 ace matches so far, and once it was Minsik, the next time it was Scarlet. Now, for the 3rd time, you have no idea who the opponent is going to be, so it's hard to strategize around that if you're Seongnam ROX. So you kind of just have to send your best player, and as you said, State, it's looking like Ding might be the best player in terms of speed this season, but then there's that last season career of Jung, so it might have to just come down to who's feeling more confident between the two today.
I think it really is going to come down to who's feeling most confident. You can see how this is a very intense discussion here in terms of who is going to be racing on this ace track. And for Seraphic, the problem is a little bit, I don't want to say more complicated, because, you know, Ding versus Jung, that is a very intense decision. Okay, it seems like a decision has been made, a handshake. I think it actually might be Jung that will be racing. We'll see eventually.
Yeah.
But for Seraphic, I mean, your highest ranked player in team speed is Promise, who's not your speed ace, he's your sweeper, and he's ranked 20 overall. Now, we only have had 33 racers in total race in team speed. So that's bottom 50th percentile.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a David versus Goliath situation in terms of who do you choose as the rookies of Seraphic to really go against either Ding, who is by far the best speed racer this season in team matches, or Jung, the best ace match player from preseason 1.
Well, it seems the track has been decided. We will be racing in WKC Brazil circuit to determine the winner between Seraphic and Seongnam ROX. And as you said, State, we are looking at potentially Jung coming out from ROX, but for Seraphic, it could be anyone.
It could be, and again, we don't know for sure that it was going to be Jung. It just seemed to me, based on that handshake and Jung getting ready at the keyboard, that it will be his choice.
Yeah.
But Seraphic, I mean, like, no matter who you choose, it's going to be very difficult. And yeah, it will be Jung here for ROX against the speed ace Minshik. Now, Minshik, a lot of faith being put in him by his team. He is the speed ace by name, but so far, KDL Preseason 2, it has not been his best run. He's ranked 32nd out of 33 players overall in team match speed. So this is his chance, really, at redemption, to show his team that he is worthy of the Speed Ace title, to show his team that they can rely on him in the clutchest moments against one of the titans of Kart Rider.
Yeah, on the opposing side, ROX is pretty much looking for a Jung is back show. Jung looking to continue his domination of ace matches here in KDL Preseason 2, and that will potentially happen here in WKC Brazil circuit.
And here we go on the 2-lap track that is Brazil circuit. Seraphic versus ROX, Jung versus Minshik. Two very different builds coming out. Jung going for the water angle prioritizing Nitrous here as everything comes down to this. ROX's undefeated record is on the line here against the rookie team Seraphic.
Yeah, I love the play from Jong there, and he went for a lot of aggressive cuts to build up the gauge continuously. And you can see right now, Jong, he's really just waiting for the timing on the draft like a hyena.
Yeah, like a hyena, exactly, man. He's just waiting to pounce on this position. You could just see by the meter gauge how much more he is drifting to build it. Always seems to be at least a fraction of a second ahead of Minshik on Nitrous. And should he time that with an inner line like this and a draft, now the question is, how is Minshik going to be able to close the distance? Because Jong, with that added momentum from the Nitrous, he's able to build a gap of at least a couple meters.
Yeah, Jong still has an advantage right now in the boost gauge, but Minshik coming in with the sick inner does manage to pass Jong now. And as we end off our first lap, it is Minshik looking to stay in the lead.
Yeah, but that came at a sacrifice, right? I mean, Jong, he was allowing Minshik to pass him because he was prioritizing that Nitrous gauge. And now, once again, he's right behind him. And for the inexperienced player Minshik, who now once again does get passed by Jong, it can be a very dangerous position with Jong right behind you, because what line is this guy going to try and take and pass you, right? And so for now, Jong seems like he's content to stay in position number one.
Oh,
Minshik will pass him for now. Actually, Minshik very close in Nitro gauge.
But Jong is going to win the line battle there once again. He takes the outer and he surpasses Minshik now, looking to try to block the line for Minshik here, and Jong does it beautifully.
Yeah, some nice body blocking here from Jong as we enter the latter sections of lap number 2. It's all going to come down to this. Minshik coming in. Will he be able to find an angle? Only 500 meters left to go. He boosts ahead of Jong. He has the better line, but Jong, he gets body blocked right now. The Nitrous now coming in, but Minshik blocks him out, and Jong barely comes through on the outside. Somehow he finds a way to get past the body block of Minshik and ride that Nitrous to another ace match win. But man, did the speed ace from Seraphic make a show of it. That was one of the closest speed aces that we've had, or one of the closest ace matches, that we've had here in KDL Preseason 2. You can see on Minshik, that's a heartbreaker. He knew he was so close to taking down a titan of the game, but by a fraction of a second, Jong is going to emerge victorious.
We just witnessed the king returns coming out of Seongnam ROX today. Jong is back, baby. He's here to take those wins in ace matches. The duo from Ding and Jong. How do you beat ROX in ace match?
I mean, that was about as close as it could possibly get in what on paper should be a massive mismatch. Again, Minshik coming into today, second place, second from last overall in team speed average rankings, but then in a 1v1 against the best ace match player from KDL Preseason 1, he almost emerged victorious, and Jong was just barely able to sneak past him on the outside with a perfectly timed Nitrous. I mean, just look at this, the draft, the Nitrous coming in right in the clutch there. I mean, Jong is so deadly.
Absolutely. Minshik did a phenomenal job there blocking. He took the line that he was supposed to, but it was just Jong that was super creative. He went for the inner and he had to boost the combo there, and you can see the frustration for Minshik. It was really close. It really came down to a toenail of a difference, but it was Jong today taking that tasty victory.
Yeah, and this was the highlight of my day, at least casting here at KDL, was Seraphic versus ROX. It's Seraphic with a fantastic item mode against a stronger item playing ROX this season. You know, ROX 3-0 sweep there in speed. They did that in easy fashion, but Seraphic with 3-2 in item. And then one of the best ace matches that we've had all season long. I mean, I feel like we've been treated to quality ace match after quality ace match here in KDL Preseason 2. And this one absolutely delivered the return of Jong in one of the most dramatic finishes you're ever going to see.
Before today's state, if you asked me what is my most memorable ace match of Preseason 2, I would have told you Neil versus Hojin that we had on the opening day. But now, at this point, I think this match between Jong and Minshik did kind of just surpass that. Now, it's standing at the top of my memory as one of the best ace matches we've had for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that Neil versus Hojin race was incredible, and this one also had all of the hype. I mean, both players changing hands, taking different lines, different builds on a new track, WKC Brazil circuit, you know? Like, even from the very beginning, we had Jong going in on that wide outer line, massively prioritizing nitro gain over raw speed, over going straight towards the finish line, and then from there, it was a little bit of a game of catch-up, but we got to the mid-game, and suddenly we're just trading. We're trading drafts, we're trading boosts. They were both able to keep up with the nitro gauge. I mean, Minshik did a fantastic job, especially in the latter portion of lap number 2 of matching Jung's nitro gauge. But Jung, just by a hair, able to move on the outside, evade the body block in the last possible moment to get a win. I mean, it was like a magic trick. It was incredible, man. Like I couldn't stop grinning after that happened. I still can. That was an amazing race.
It's like witnessing a treat. You were just served your favorite food on a plate. Chef Jung masterfully crafted it for us. Bon appetit. But we need to give credit to Minsick as well, because it was Minsick who was toe-to-toe with Jung this whole time, keeping it really competitive. Because if Jung won it in a one-sided race, it wouldn't have been this fun to watch.
Yeah, and what a great way to end a fantastic day of KDL Preseason 2. I mean, this has been so much fun. All these team matches delivered, and one of the best ace matches, arguably the best ace match that we have had of the preseason to finish things off. I mean, what a great Wednesday.
And the highest energy I've seen of you in Preseason 2.
Yeah, man, I was tired coming to this. All right, let's go take a look at the overall standings. Let's recap the games from today. As ShowTime, this is match number 1, although it feels like ages ago. Liiv SANDBOX with a nice win over ShowTime, but ShowTime once again coming through in the clutch. I loved how you called this after map number 3 when Liiv SANDBOX went up 2-1. You're like, well, ShowTime usually, usually it happens like this, and they're able to fight back to 3-2. I was doubting you, but they were able to make it work, and then Liiv SANDBOX coming through in the clutch ace match.
Yeah, today is like a day of ace matches. We've had some wonderful ones to witness today. It was 2 out of 3, and both were pretty good. Liiv SANDBOX coming in with another win in the pocket for Neil, and I'm sure that Neil must be feeling so confident right now.
Yeah, Sensation. This is probably the easiest win of the night, as Sensation just seems to continue to fire on all cylinders, with Hojin just really revitalized here, as well as Ding. I mean, the leading racer overall here in KDL Preseason 2 when it comes to speed. And a 3-1 win for Sensation in speed mode. 3-0 win in item mode was a clean 2-0 sweep for them, as they didn't even need to go to an ace match to secure that victory.
Yeah, it just felt like Sensation as a team just had a better grasp over the matches today than Potential, so definitely a well-deserved victory there. And as you mentioned, State, this does really help solidify their position as the 4th place team right now, vying for a spot to the postseason.
Yeah, of course. I mean, not only is a 6-1 win going to give you the match win overall over another team, but it's great for your round record, which is almost undeniably going to be used for a tiebreaker should things continue to proceed the way they are. And then, of course, final match of the day, Peter. What is there to say?
This is how dessert should be. After your main course, you finish it off on a high note, and that's what Seongnam ROX served to us today. In speed, they looked so dominant, they just closed it off 3-0, smiles all around the face, but as soon as it got to the item mode, the 3 lightnings coming out made the smiles all drop. Now it was all game time, serious mode only, and that is what brought us to an ace match between Jung and Minsick, and it was quite the memorable one.
I love all these food analogies you're coming up with today, man. Like Chef Jung cooking up the best ace match of the season. This was like the dessert after the main courses. I think, what was it earlier? We had like 2 Thunderbolts versus 3 Thunderbolts is like something like an extra layer of ice cream, an extra scoop.
Yeah, I mean, I love food. I'm a foodie kind of guy, so.
It's dinner time in Korea here, so you got me hungry. As we look at the overall standings, Seongnam ROX, with a heroic victory from Jung, remain the only undefeated team here in the KDL Preseason 2 with a 5-0 record. Plus 14 overall. The best round differential, too, is they are all but assuredly going to be the #1 or the #2 seed heading into the postseason.
Absolutely. It's right now a matchup between Guangdong Freak, Sensation, and Aura to see who can finish off the remaining matches the cleanest, because now at this point, these wins really start to matter. Even the set and round differentials can make a huge difference.
Absolutely, and that round differential is something I'm really looking at, in particular Sensation and Aura. I mean, on paper, 3-2 in wins, or 3 wins, 2 losses for Sensation, 2 wins, 3 losses for Aura. That's very close. That can change over the course of the season, but you look at the set and the round differential, +9 for Sensation, and sets +2 with Aura down -3. The pressure's got to be on Aura to make another repeat performance and reach the playoffs here in KDL Preseason 2. Is got a preview of our matches. This will, of course, be on Saturday at 6 p.m. KST, same time, same place this upcoming weekend. Seraphic versus ShowTime will be match number 1. Potential versus Aura, match number 2. And these solo matches.
Yeah, I feel like Aura versus Potential is going to be kind of like the highlight team match of the day to see if Aura can pick up a win for themselves. Whereas for the solo match, it is the winner's match now in the round of 16. So the names are only getting tougher and tougher. Just, you don't even need to read it. Just by looking at it with your eyes, you know this is going to be a banger.
Oh, I mean, it's going to be so good. Ding right now in first place. Neil a legend in his own right. And then we have guys like World, like Looning, like Hero, like Spear and Jimin and Cool. It's so stacked. This is maybe even more stacked than the one that we had before. And by the way, this is a typo. It's actually, it's Saturday this week. I'm really bad with dates, so I didn't even catch the typo was incorrect. This is July 8th, of course, this upcoming Saturday. It's Wednesday today. So just, you know, look at your little calendar. Mark it right there for 6 p.m. KST is, yeah, this is going to be a fantastic day.
Yeah, I mean, no one can blame me for that one stay. We just had some bangers of a match. After that, your headspace is kind of too busy to think about what date we're on. We could be on, like, August for all we know at this point.
Oh, no, I'm getting old, man. You're young still, but for me, like, time is flying too fast already. Don't tell me it's August. I'll actually believe you. I feel like this year's gone by in the blink of an eye, and we've had so many great KDL matches on top of that, too, from KDL Preseason 1 to Preseason 2, and today especially was... I gotta say, I think generally speaking, I usually prefer the weekends because I like the mixture of team matches and solo matches. But as far as the games went today, this is my favorite day of KDL Preseason 2. I mean, especially the way that we ran it out with that Jong Ace match versus Minshik was so good. I could not ask for a better match.
Yeah, we always want that final match of the day to be great, and that is absolutely what this Ace match brought us. Almost topping the glory that comes with winning a solo match is when you have an Ace match that goes toe-to-toe from start to finish.
Yeah, it's been so much fun, Peter. So glad to cast this one with you. It was a great day. And I can't wait for the weekend, man. I mean, the matches just keep getting better. The players keep getting better. It's a reason why we do the preseason before the regular season, is there's so much to learn here in the new game. It's still Kart Rider, but, you know, new tracks, changes to the meta. It's so much fun.
Especially the solo matches, right? That's another thing we can kind of look forward to on the weekend at the end of the day.
All right, guys, that's going to be it for us today. Thank you so much for joining us. Hope you had as much fun as we did. We will see you again Saturday, 6 p.m. KST. Take care.